Welcome back, Tony.
That was
Hey,
fantastic.
Dan.
Thrilled to have you.
This thing,
Yeah.
this is clearly sabotage. Okay, the reason why I know it is sabotage,
It's Billy's.
Yeah,
it's Billy's
I
A,
think
and
Billy
B, Your Honor. There is a obvious screw missing that connects both of these little arms to this thing, right? And that's how you tighten the bolt
All
here.
right, so
The screw's missing, Dan.
All right, Tony, welcome back. Please, this is what I'm going to ask you, okay? Because over the last 4 years, there are a number of ways that my resentments have sort of spilled out of me in ways that are unpleasant for everybody. And what I am going to tell you now, and this is something I should have told you to your face in a private meeting a long time ago, but I have told you a couple of times. Your movement in the back row since you got here with those microphones is always loudly noisier than anyone else who works for us in terms of readjusting your microphone noisily. And so when you come in today after a month off, and your first action is to grab a microphone and have it fall apart in your hands because Billy knew you'd come in and immediately be too handsy with a microphone, because Billy's got the same ear the rest of us do, which is if there's a bad sound somewhere that someone's producing, we're going to notice it. But if it's you, he's going to notice it every time. And so that's an obvious act of sabotage there, and it succeeded. Billy, in spirit, has already sabotaged today's show.
It was an absolute booby trap. And Dan, I don't think I grabbed the mic any other way than everybody else does. Like, Mike does the same thing. We both stand. We both grab the mic. Like, I think that's something
Mike,
that
You're heavy-handed with
well,
it.
I will say you're heavy-handed with it. I will say I've also noticed it of Mike, and I also haven't said anything to Mike because Mike's got a lot on his plate at the moment. You have been off for a month.
Mike has a lot on his plate at the moment. Like, Dan, what are we talking about?
Tony
here?
is a baby.
I
mean,
understand.
Thank you, Dan.
I understand. Not needed to bring
Is that what
baby
this is?
to
Okay.
work. He can
Give
take
me an
care of
Allen
that
wrench.
baby.
I don't need an Allen wrench. I need a screw, buddy.
Take care of that baby when you're on the baby's time. When you're on our time, don't grab the microphone.
But then why does Mike have so much like stuff that he's dealing with?
Right. Mike has so much stuff that he's dealing with because we're trying to carry a company during business development, and we have some problems here because we've got to adjust to, hey, it's just us these days, and somebody just had a baby, and Tony's going to be gone for a month. Tony, we need you. Every orifice of this company needs you. We need you over here in MMA Hangout, but you got to go take care of a baby. How long should paternity be?
What's happening back
Well, we get 3 months, Dan. I did a third of what I was allotted, so it should be. Tony, let me get this Allen wrench. Let me see. No, to put it through the. No, give me the screw. Give me this. Taylor clearly doesn't know. He doesn't fix anything in his house. He's a guy that he probably asked Mally to come over and fix stuff for him. You know they live in the same apartment building, Dan?
Tony, welcome back.
Thank you.
I have a number of things that I want to talk to you about today. I have been waiting because I was told you were coming back today. I did want to talk about the MMA events of the weekend and just everything that's happening around MMA as Donald Trump and Joe Rogan are at the top of a community that when it was here in Miami, Stugotz, I told you here recently, I felt very alone as a Cuban American at wanting to watch the fights in Miami because what surrounded me was very welcoming to all things Trump, and that has won in America, and MMA continues to win, and Dana White is more powerful by leaps and bounds than he has ever been. So I want to talk to Tony about that stuff in a second. I also want to salute Donald Trump. I don't think we need pennies either. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think.
yeah.
I got that low key. I fucked with the paper straw thing.
What type of salute?
I am telling you right now that if it costs more, now I don't know the consequences and repercussions of half-baked ideas, so this may still be a half-baked idea because I don't know the consequences of taking 99 cents out of a price and making it only nickels, because now you're eliminating the making of the pennies. But it costs more to make the penny than the value of the penny, and we can all agree that seems silly, right?
I am good with no more pennies. Yes, that is ridiculous. It is silly. I am good with no more pennies. I never take the pennies. When you give me change, I say keep the pennies.
Right, and so change.
You don't say keep the change?
Well, no, just the pennies.
No,
Keep
he needs
the
those
pennies?
nickels.
No one says that.
No one says that.
Keep in mind,
I
he'd give
do.
$5,000 if he won a $50,000
So wait a minute.
So when it's 88 cents,
Keep the
they get
pennies?
3 pennies.
Every nickel counts,
Wait a
man.
minute.
I mean,
So you really hold on.
$5,000 on a $50K.
You're making
jackpot.
it difficult for them. They're
what he
like
tried to
picking
tell
out
us.
the
I know
pennies.
I am. I mean,
Let them
listen.
keep the dimes at least.
No.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, Juju. Do you value pennies? Because I believe that Stugotz, while what he has just revealed feels wrong. It just feels wrong to have someone be handing you 88 cents or 86 cents and you saying keep the penny.
Yes. I mean, it's my penny. I'm giving it to
is.
you.
I know,
Yes.
but as a tip,
Right. It's not a tip. I just don't want the penny. It's your penny.
no, but it is a tip.
I'm not tipping anyone.
It is,
I mean,
but it is a tip. It's a tip. It's if you say keep the penny. Look, I don't know about you, but I tip grocers. Like if a cashier, I will let them keep the change.
right.
But if it's a penny, I'm going to ask for it back because I don't want to insult that person for them to think that I'm only leaving them a penny. I'll put that in a jar.
Right.
I'll
You have a penny jar, huh?
No, if
You don't have a penny jar.
I'll put the penny in the
okay,
jar
yes.
that's next to the the
Right,
register
yes,
or
right.
whatever. But I will not hand someone a penny or say keep the penny. That's insulting, is it not?
I mean,
I just say keep the change.
Yeah.
As humans do.
Yeah,
what if
I
the
don't say
change
keep
is
the
88
penny.
cents,
But what
though?
if the-
I mean,
no,
I
but
always
what-
say keep the change. I don't need any coins.
You know, you say that about, nickels, dimes, quarters, all that. If you invested 85 cents and you did it every single day and you did it since you were like 16
I
years
could
old,
say that of
you'd
pennies
have a lot
too,
of money.
but I could say that of pennies, too.
Pennies.
Man.
How are you not listening to yourself?
I am listening to myself. I don't want pennies.
If you
I
did
mean,
this with pennies since you were 16 years old, you would have a good deal of money right now.
well, I do.
You wouldn't be here.
Do you ever get odd responses from the people at the grocery store? Because I've noticed if you try to tip somewhere where they don't normally tip, sometimes they give you like what? Keep the change. This is not a restaurant. I don't know. I just feel like you'd get an odd response sometimes.
It's your change, right? I don't want your change.
I know, like they're working and they're like, well, okay, I'll keep it. I guess this is weird.
I have not been prepared for a number of the things that have happened in America in recent years. Our different relationship with change, literal and otherwise, is something that is confounding to me. And this particular change, where I think many people listening to this can hear the privilege in, I never keep change. I just throw that off to the side. I think a lot of people listening to this are like, no, I keep the change. It has value. However, I might stop you on a penny because I think this is a good Trump idea. However, when I present to you, because anyone can agree with the simple math, I don't know what the consequences are of, it costs more to make a penny than to have a penny, than the value of a penny. That's inefficiency. Come on, Elon Musk, help us fix the government and fix our inefficiencies. That's obviously inefficient. However, I ask you this, and I don't know the answer, but I hope that it's what I think it is. Please tell me that a nickel costs more to make than a nickel. A lot more to make than a nickel. Please tell me what it costs to make a
Is
nickel.
it made out of actual nickel?
I
I feel like an idiot for asking, but I haven't thought
Good
about
question.
coins in a while.
Right.
You
so,
might not like the answer to this, Dan.
No, what I'd like the answer to be is that it costs twice as much to make a nickel or 3 times as much to make a nickel as it costs to make a nickel.
Ooh.
14 cents.
Ooh.
Almost 3 times as much.
It hurts.
So now we're in a place where the nickel doesn't have any value either.
Wow.
So if you go down this is a slippery slope.
Well, the nickel is 75% copper.
Right.
What?
That's
Only
interesting.
25% nickel.
Really? Huh.
Penny costs 3.7 cents to produce.
It'll all be Dogecoin soon anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeremy.
You're welcome.
Well, he's right.
He is right.
You could
I
use
don't
a
have to
blockchain.
carry it.
Glad we're talking about the
exactly.
right
I don't have
parts
to
of
carry
this.
it on my person,
Okay.
Person.
But the straws.
He came out against the straws, huh?
The straws are fine.
He should have said that earlier.
Straws are fine. My executive order would be like if you're at a beachfront bar, paper straws.
Yes.
Okay, because then it can get in
If
the
I can
turtle's
see
nose.
the ocean,
Yeah.
I'm fine with the paper
Yeah.
straws.
But if I'm like, come on.
if I'm in
Pembroke Pines,
if I'm in Weston,
Yeah, come
get
on.
that paper straw out of my face.
if we're in Davie, I'm sucking on that plastic straw.
There's only so much climate change stuff you guys will abide, and we're all hypocrites, and sometimes I don't recycle.
Even your song is like, we're all going to die. We all know it. I mean, we can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle. You can only hope to mitigate it. So why don't we just start focusing on solutions?
Title of the episode, Where Donald Trump is Right.
You're worried about the turtles. How about me when I'm drinking this like paper that's disintegrated into my drink?
Chemicals in there.
Dude, yes, the 1 in a million turtle that gets a plastic straw up his nose is a tragedy. But so is me trying to suck down this
All right.
frappe.
Soggy ass
All right.
straw.
So, I don't know where you do degrees and delineations on I won't wear a mask for you and where freedoms get impinged on our selfishness killing sea turtles.
I mean, come on. The
But-
odds of the straw
All right, look.
matriculating through the ocean
all agree-
and getting lodged in the turtle's nose.
We're all in agreement that we've polluted the seas and have destroyed the earth. Yes, that we've already done that.
Yes.
But I don't think everyone's in agreement on that because if you deny climate change, you're not in agreement on that.
No. If I were running for president, I would not deny climate change at all. I'd say, wow, we really messed that up. Here's how we're going to deal with it going forward.
Yeah, but that's not what we're presently doing.
Solutions. We're going to American ingenuity on like making sure that our towns don't get flooded.
Okay, but what it is that you're doing there, Mike, is all you're doing is, well, I'm already losing, so here we go. I'm going with you on a paper straw. And I get it. I don't know where to put the line on degrees, on creature comforts of living your life versus we're destroying the earth. But, a bunch of homes just burned in Los Angeles, and it's the beginning of the new normal.
Nothing to do with the straws.
No, but you know what I'm
Nothing to do with the
saying.
straws.
Yes.
Nothing
Keep
to
the
do with
straws
the
out of that, yeah.
If I'm
with
drinking,
Dan. We don't know that.
If I'm drinking, if I see the ocean, paper straw. I'm with you.
All right.
That's how we mitigate this.
I'm not going to do climate change talk anymore.
Yeah, right.
In this
In this segment.
in this segment, I am going to move away from climate change talk.
Where are you moving? Oh.
I mean, there
Red,
ain't
white,
there ain't
red,
anywhere,
white, and blue land.
There ain't anywhere safe. I've been looking. I've been talking to climate scientists. Where in Ireland? There ain't anywhere. What, an emergency home in Colorado?
They did tell us that Asheville was safe.
They did.
They did.
Well, but the parts of Asheville I was looking at, they were safe. They were different part of Asheville where it doesn't flood.
Move down the list to Orlando. Got my eyes on you.
Orla-
Centrally located. I can drink out of a plastic straw.
Yeah, Orlando's alleged to be the safest place in Florida from all manner of things, but it flooded recently in a way that made me wonder whether Stan Van Gundy was going to live. So, like really, because I had Stan Van Gundy, his house filling up with water, and then what are you going to do?
You do you, man. You got beachfront. I'm worried about you.
What do you do?
Which is why my plan is going to build you a beautiful seawall with American ingenuity.
Before I get to Tony's return here, and before I get to all the things with Sean Strickland and Dana White, because I have been wanting to talk about this, and when Tony comes in and I tell him I want to talk to him about it, he says, you know what, Dan, I'd prefer to talk about top 5 Miami smells.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, that's what you've been doing with paternity leave? You've been off for a month, and what you come back with is top 5 Miami smells?
Good use of time.
Color me intrigued.
Not only that, I've got that, which is very exciting, by the way. I've run it by a couple people that are Miamians, and they've agreed with every single one of them. Okay, so that's one. I've also got new father observations, if we want to get to those.
Like it.
In homage to Stugotz.
Thank you.
That's fully baked, fully done, ready to go.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. And on top of that, I was raising a child, so I was doing a lot of stuff.
Well, welcome.
And I think we should have more man-made lakes.
Welcome back, Tony. I like what you've been doing with MMA Hangout, so I'm going to give you the room as part of welcoming you back, and because Billy sabotaged you, I'm going to give you the floor here for top 5 Miami smells. Stugotz, the entire segment I've been talking. You've been talking to Chris and doing your own show with Chris laughing. What are you laughing about?
Well, I was trying to feed Chris a line. I had a child. I mean,
Nailed it.
okay.
You see what I mean? Like
that's why I wanted you to do it.
If there's going to be more water, we just dig holes where there isn't water, and we put the water that is getting higher into those holes, therefore restoring balance.
How about we just drop plastic straws in the ocean less? Anyone thought of that?
Yeah.
Can you please, Chris Cody, give me whatever it is that we need for Tony's top 5 smells? Have you produced anything? Did Tony, during the month off, come back with imaging for his new segment, Top 5 Miami Smells? Nothing. Okay. Tony, I appreciate all your hard work. What is the baby's name?
Her name is Elle Rose, Dan.
Wow. We're putting that out there.
No, congratulations, because look, man, Tony.
What's her social?
For those of you who
We just got it, by the way. Very exciting, Dan. When you get the little social card, it's so tiny.
Yeah.
So cool.
Put it out on
Too bad they're
social.
taking it away.
Oh, wow. I have to remember this for the
You
rest
got to
of my
put
life.
that out on social.
More things to remember.
Elon knows it.
Tony, like Amin, who connects with our audience from there because he was living in Bristol and doing ESPN things and overcoming illness to chase his dreams the way that his father in this town wanted to do all the things that we were doing, and built a company to compete against Stugotz in the sports radio world in South Florida. Tony leapt with us and overestimated his reach in thinking that at Freedom we should bring him out with a feather boa and tell everybody, hey, everybody, Tony came with us too. But it's what he wanted. It's not what we gave him.
Would have been funny.
After all,
a joke you were going for.
after all of these years, he's got a baby now, and
He has a child?
and it's called MMA
Thank you.
Hangout, his most beloved child.
Really is.
It is not.
Thriving, by the way.
It is not El Rose. The real El Rose is the one that will bring him riches. The MMA Hangout, which has exploded in popularity because Tony is at the helm of building and hustling his way into, and his dad would be proud of this, creating an entity and a thing that is his. And so I will go to him now and his expertise, not on Strickland, not on Dana White, but on top 5 Miami smells. OLI.
OLI, Dan. Cocaine.
Yeah.
What does it smell like? I don't know.
Oh,
what
like you
it's-
don't know.
Oh, come on, Dan.
I don't know what is it.
I don't do it. I like the way it
I've been
smells.
told it's been bitter.
Smells great.
Bitter experience. OLI number 2. Not all these smells are good.
Hold on. Juju, put it on the poll. Do you know what cocaine smells like? Because
Bad cocaine.
I couldn't describe it for you. I don't even know where to begin on what cocaine smells like. And so you guys laugh because you've clearly done cocaine.
What?
We've just smelt it.
That is reckless.
Well, okay.
I think you'd be surprised how little cocaine I've done.
Well, but what
You'd be shocked about my number.
Roy,
Shocked.
Roy,
Yes.
Roy, a ton.
what does cocaine smell like?
Dead plants.
What does it smell like?
Jeremy?
Strip clubs? I don't know.
Rubber?
It depends on what it's cut with,
Yep.
or so I've heard.
So how many people here know what cocaine smells like? Stugotz, what does cocaine smell like?
Good cocaine has no smell. The bad cocaine, it smells like urine a bit. I mean,
The drywall.
The drywall.
Urine.
I don't know what's real or what's true here.
it's what Mike told me.
It depends
What are
on
we
what's
doing?
what it's cut. You really. The joke is that you smell it, but you don't do it. But it's impossible to smell it and not do it. That was the joke, and we stayed on it, and we got nothing for you. Number 4.
OLI, whatever. Number
still on
again,
OLI.
yes.
Oh,
Yes, but again, not every smell is going to be a good smell.
Robert says it smells like a mineral.
The IT guy? Kirk? Let's give him all right, fine. Give him a camera, give him a microphone.
Fat
Go
Rob?
ahead.
What do you mean, like calcium?
Give him I'm going to go to the
What do you want Robert to do? Smell cocaine?
We're not doing it.
I'm going to ask him the question of what cocaine smells
I
like.
think just referencing him was joke enough.
The smell of the bathroom at the Orange Bowl.
That's a top smell?
It's a top smell of nostalgia,
It
Dan.
says Miami,
You used
yeah.
to walk by the Orange Bowl and you used to walk by the bathroom and be like,
Polarizing.
No,
but it reminds me of back home. Reminds me of a time that was simpler, Dan.
does.
That's not
That
a
means
top
nothing.
smell.
The sense that's most tied to memory is smell.
This doesn't-
Exactly.
Okay, wait a minute.
It's
So,
Tony's list. Then.
okay, so you're making it a top smell because of memories. Because of
Exactly.
the
You
nostalgia
smell it
smell.
and it puts you back
Yes.
into a place. You don't
Yes.
have
Exactly.
that's never happened to you. Like, oh, this is that perfume my wife wore that one time we had a magical evening in
But
the
that's
French
a bad
Riviera.
smell.
It smells like piss.
Yeah, it's a bad smell.
Yeah, well, it was a bad night for the Florida Gators.
It's a bad smell that puts you in a good place.
Exactly
Yes.
right. Thank you,
Yeah.
Stu.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Does a bad smell ever put you in a good place?
Like cocaine.
Depending on what it's cut
Well,
with.
you said bad cocaine smells like urine, which what does bad cocaine do?
It gets you there.
Just enough.
Another OLI. The salty smell when your parents would roll down the windows after the toll to the Key Biscayne Bridge when you were going to have farito.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
On the causeway, yeah, that's good.
They lower all the
Reckon
windows of the
Rickenbacker?
car, and then all of a sudden you're like,
Unbelievable. That's a
salty
good one.
smell.
That's a
Oh
good
my
one.
God, this is
The Rick.
incredible.
I'm not a landlubber anymore.
Everyone thinks I do cocaine because of my character. I've never done it. But if it came in a pill form, I would do it. Look, I was hooked on like 11 Red Bulls a day back in my day. But the whole thing about like snorting something, I can't do it, especially if it's a paper straw.
Number 5, Dan, on the official list. When somebody in the neighborhood is doing a barbecue, but you can't really tell which house it is.
Yeah, that's a good
You're
one.
like,
That's a good one.
who's cooking? Who's grilling right now?
Yeah.
Is
Good
it the
job.
neighbor? No, you look over the fence. No, it's not him.
And then you realize I don't want to actually talk to my neighbors.
Oh, there it goes.
Tony, I got to be honest.
I'm nailing it,
It's a
right?
good list so
Thank
far.
you.
Yeah, it's a good. But it's a distinctly it's about to become a distinctly Miami list if you're going over a bridge there and giving the locals local smells.
Local smells?
I gotta push back on that last one. Can't anyone anywhere they live be like, I walk outside my house, I
Yes.
smell barbecue.
In any
Oh,
neighborhood,
Which
yes.
house is that?
Right,
No,
I
it's
just don't know if that's
That's
a
the one
Miami
you're pushing
smell.
back on, not the Orange
no.
Bowl.
Well,
Tell him, Dan. Tell him, Dan.
You know what though?
Roasted pig.
hold
That's a
on.
plantation guy right there.
Yeah, that is a plantation guy. Because,
Yeah, I've also smelt barbecue.
No,
There was a
yeah.
town
Yeah.
called
No.
Plantation.
We're talking about
No,
roasted
a
pig.
town
Exclusive to you?
called
I mean, get out of
Plantation,
here.
Florida.
Chris, no,
Florida.
Chris, you don't
Chino.
understand what you're talking about.
Jeez.
Roy's talking
Oh, yeah,
about.
we don't.
No, you don't, because Roy's talking about one kind of barbecue, and Tony's also doing lechon.
I know,
Tony,
the pig roast.
Yeah, but Tony's also doing like Latin cuisine. It's not just barbecue; it's barbecue that brings back ethnicity. Like
Exactly.
it's not just a random barbecue.
My parents go to a pig roast in Davie.
No, it smells Hispanic.
I know you guys think everyone thinks their thing is the
yeah.
coolest thing.
It's
Yeah,
not
you
the
guys-
coolest
you
thing,
guys
it's
can
just
have
the-
it. You
it's
guys
just
can
the
have it.
smell.
You know what? You're right. You guys are the only ones that have
Thank you,
barbecues.
Chris. Yes.
It's pork. It's this.
I know what it is. It's in the
Crackling.
big box. It's
In
a pig.
Broward, we're not grilling pork.
When
I
it's
mean,
done, you pick the skin off.
No,
Good
burgers
God.
and steaks.
I know we're doing it in Palm Beach County.
All right,
I mean,
hold on a second. I'm culturally, I'm going to explain something to you guys that it is, and there is a difference between the Dade and Broward line, and there is a very specific thing that Tony is talking about here when he's talking about Latin culture that I'm about to explain to you. I imagine that Tony Kornheiser in his life has smelled barbecue in the neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Tony Kornheiser, when he was doing Monday Night Football, came to do a Monday Night Football game in Miami, and he was afraid to fly. So the Monday Night Football bus comes into a very small Latin neighborhood where the people out back are cooking a pig in a box, okay? Tony Kornheiser, who would tell you that he knows the smell of barbecue, would say that when he walked into this home, the smell of barbecue was better than any he had ever seen. And also that he'll never forget it because he was horrified because we handed him the pig's head. And it was a triumphant cultural moment for him that he had not seen, even though he would say, like you guys are saying, that we're all talking about the same kind of barbecue. We are not.
Right.
Number 4.
Number 4, Dan. Oh, jeez.
I mean, I got to tell you, when I think
on, hold
food,
on.
I think Tony Kornheiser. What are we doing here? I mean, Jesus.
Taylor, always helpful. Gave me
Just
a
being
couple of-
kind. He was being polite.
You didn't even finish it. Cut the tape, buddy. Jeez. Hold on.
Classic Billy.
It's the right way. There we go. Attaboy. All right. Yeah. Number 4.
Yeah.
A freshly made café cubano.
Now that Davey doesn't have.
Now,
Right.
that
No,
could be
no,
at the house.
Same with Palm Beach County.
Right?
Yeah.
That could be at the house. You make it on the stovetop at your house. Your grandma will make it. Your mom would make it. You get the pomita. You're there mixing it, right? Or if you're at the bakery, all of a sudden you open the door, boom, it hits you. But it also hits you with the combination of number 3, the smell of freshly baked Cuban bread.
See, I am so in.
Excellent.
You open that door of the bakery and it's like, is that cafe? Yes.
That's my cocaine.
The freshly baked Cuban bread, Dan. Number 3.
If I may put some steaks on this for a second.
I love
Oh,
the steak.
steaks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow,
Delicious.
steak.
Talking about barbecue over here?
Yeah.
Una
I put some
palomilla, con
Sarah,
cebolla,
you've never
Cuban
tried it.
bread,
You really have
Con
to.
cebolla.
Nice little rub on there.
Papita.
Onions, it's delicious.
We are 2 away from this being the best top 5 list that's ever been done here.
Wow.
Right now, we are trending. Tony is on pace to score more than has ever been scored in a top 5 game.
Even with the Orange Bowl, huh?
Even with the smell of urine and even with the smell of cocaine and cocaine that smells like urine.
Wow.
Number 2. When it's a little chilly in Miami, right? And you're there, you're outside. Maybe you're grilling a little bit, hanging out with the family outside, just enjoying the nice 60-degree weather we have for the first time in 9 months.
The last month has been really nice.
It has been. And then all of a sudden, is that a bonfire? A bonfire coming from Chrome Avenue? What are they burning over there?
Chrome Avenue.
What are they burning over on Chrome Avenue? All of a sudden, it's wafting over. And it's like, I don't know where the bonfire is coming from. I know it's coming from Chrome. But how did it make it all the way over here? And what's the smell? With the little chili, you got
But it's got to be a cold night.
It's a cold night. It has to be a cold night. Because if it's a warm night, then Chrome's on fire. But if it's not, if it's a chilly night, you know people are doing bonfires out there.
And you make it a Miller time, too.
Oh, gosh.
I gotta be honest. That one's a little high. It's a
Yeah?
little high on the
Really?
list.
Oh, you're the one that attached steaks.
Are
Come
you
on,
saying
man.
you're the only one who has bonfires? Or?
No. I'm saying
That's why it's a little high.
I'm saying the bonfires are coming from Chrome.
Right.
That's where
It's a
like-
different. You're
It's a
saying
different
it's
one?
different when it's coming from Chrome.
exactly right.
The
Exactly
way
right.
it smells, the bonfire.
Number 1.
Huh.
This is the one that really kickstarted the entire list.
No pressure.
This is big, Tony.
No,
what
this
Dan
is huge,
said.
and everybody's going to agree with this. Okay, when you start walking, you get out of your car, okay, and you start walking towards a familiar sign, and you start smelling. Oh, they're making chicken tenders in there. The Publix chicken tender smell that wafts out of that
Wow.
Publix when they're cooking the chicken tenders early in the morning is a smell that is uniquely Miami, and I love it. It's my number 1 smell.
I mean,
Publix chicken tenders
Wow.
being
Broward has
fried.
Publix.
So does Palm Beach.
Everyone's got
Orlando.
chicken tenders.
No,
the,
not
the
not
list
like
fell
that.
apart.
Dan
Not
put
like
steaks
that.
on it, and you farted.
The list fell apart. It really did.
It's
choked.
my list.
Hey,
It's
choked.
my list.
I mean, seriously, a
Get-
rapist from the street vendors.
A rapist?
what?
Arepas, you're going to need to
Arepas.
clarify.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
What happened?
Hold
What,
on.
That's not my
Hold
list.
on a
That's
second.
that's not my list.
No, Roy.
What?
You said a
Roy.
rapist.
We heard it the same way,
said a
Roy.
rapist.
Like, I don't know how that's connected
A
to my
rapist?
list. I
You
don't
said
wanna
a
say
rapist.
I said a rapist.
I think he said a raper.
I said a rapist.
You said a rapist and then a rapers to correct yourself.
Okay,
And then I was like,
should I roll my
arepas?
tongue on that one?
Yeah.
I don't think I can do
Roll
that.
that thing.
I don't roll it and I say arepas.
A rapist.
that. Okay.
Roy.
Yes, Dan.
You have lived in South Florida, Roy, all your life.
Uh-huh. That's correct.
What were you asking?
Confirmation.
Surrounded by Hispanic people at work every day.
Rapers.
The word arepas. You just clearly called them a rapist.
I did not. I got an excuse here. I'm wearing clear aligners.
Well done.
So,
Yep.
Okay.
Understandable.
That's the
man.
first time
Yeah.
he's used that excuse, too. I believe him.
Yep.
Pull it out and say it again.
Yeah.
Do you want to
good.
try
Hold on,
again?
hold
We're
on.
going to give you the room.
took
Nobody,
him out.
Wow, you really pulled him out.
Nobody say it again.
Wow.
No, nobody say the word again.
Okay.
Roy, try again to say the delicious corn and cheese magical melted treat that is the
Arepa.
No,
Killed
still
it.
sound like
You see?
a
It still
raper.
sounds like,
Sounds like
come
you
on.
said-
now.
that was
better.
really
It was
good.
better.
That's
All right,
better.
did you hear the
Come
P?
He was so
and the
clearly
A?
a rapist that we comedically couldn't do anything with it. Like, What's our boy doing here?
How could you do anything with that?
That last one sounded like a raper with some flair.
Yeah.
A raper.
Yeah.
That's the other
With an A at the end.
Well,
There literally is an
a
A.
hard A. There's
There's
a
no
hard
R.
A at the end of
There's
that.
no R at the end.
There's a hard A at the end.
Yes.
No ER.
Parappa
No.
the raper.
What I'm going to tell you, Roy, look, I was thinking of delicious, melty, mouth-watering treats, and only because you originally said and brought my mind to a rapist, did it then become something that was even worse and funnier while saying the same thing, which is a raper, which is what you said when trying to correct a rapist.
All right. I also said street vendor after that, so a
All right.
rapist street vendor is
Chris
not
says he's
exactly
got
a
the
good-
sound. Everyone
Oh
stand
my
back.
gosh.
Everyone stand. Roy, be quiet for a second.
Yeah.
Roy, just everyone be quiet.
Yes.
I would like to go back to the moment. How you've lived here all your life,
Yeah.
surrounded by Hispanic people.
But actually, these neighborhoods are segregated, so not really.
Okay, but at work, surrounded by Hispanic people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like always.
You casually holding your teeth is weird.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you.
Well,
Roy,
am I going to put it on the console?
Roy,
What do you want me to put?
do me a favor.
I'll hold it.
Lewis, please. Camera trained only on the face of Roy here, okay? I want his facial reaction when I hear for the first time how it is, or he sees for the first time how it is that he just said arepa.
Rapers.
Yeah.
Rapers. Yeah, I understand how the clear liners can distort my
Well done. Stay there, Roy.
vocal. Yeah, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good.
Rapers.
My heart goes out to you.
I want to play some sound here, Stugotz.
Not that sound anymore.
No, thank you for your contributions there.
Rapers.
Stugotz yesterday never got to get a takeoff that he badly wanted to get off post Super Bowl. He wanted to talk about Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts, if you're going to ascend the ladder on maybe this quarterback is the reason they win, winning is a quarterback stat, it is how we give fame if you're a winner. He just beat the winner of the winners who was going to replace Tom Brady. Who is Jalen Hurts now as he flies into stardom as the 5th or 6th best player on his offense and a guy who would win Super Bowl MVP, and yet still all of us would watch that game and still say, yeah, Kansas City's got the better quarterback. Like I know.
Well, that's the weird thing to me. It's like Jalen Hurts won because the offensive line is good. The defensive line is good. His wide receivers are good. His running back is great. He went to a Super Bowl 2 years ago with Miles Sanders as his running back. This is a guy who checks all the boxes in terms of things you want from your athlete, and he doesn't seem to be getting any of the credit. He has been through all the adversity. He had to leave Alabama after winning a national championship because it was Tua's turn, and he had to go to Oklahoma, and he didn't sulk. He went to Oklahoma and made himself better. Drafted in the 2nd round. Makes it to 2 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl MVP. He's 25 years old, and no one is celebrating Jalen Hurts. And to me, that is odd, because what do we do when a team wins a Super Bowl? We usually celebrate that team's quarterback. I have found it interesting that we're making more excuses as to why Patrick Mahomes didn't win the Super Bowl than giving credit to Jalen Hurts for actually winning the Super Bowl.
So this part is super interesting to me. And not a lot about this stuff is, usually. In what we've made of sports, where after losses, all of us are yelling and screaming about who's to blame, often about a call here and there, this little move here. But now what you've got off a game is we were just denied a historic, that football dynasty has never existed. There's never been something that wins 3 times in a row. And America delighted so much in its demise, in the demise of excellence,
Right.
that Philadelphia winning pales compared to Kansas City losing, because we're in blame culture, man. And this was about Taylor Swift and Kelsey, and can I laugh at his outfit, and can I boo Taylor Swift, and somebody else gets to win. And this team that has represented America for 3 years in the power sport made us forget Brady quick. Or I shouldn't say forget Brady quick, but I just saw in one game, Stugotz, I saw the television coverage go from can Mahomes be better than Brady after this to Mahomes loses that way, and then the television coverage is that has gone out the window.
Right.
That Mahomes will never be Brady because that loss, Brady would have never lost like that.
Yes.
The whole story becomes about Kansas City loss, not Philadelphia won, except in Philadelphia, where Philadelphia can celebrate that it's got a beast of a football team.
But that is odd to me, the fact that that's where we decided to go as a nation, as a country, and we're not addressing Jalen Hurts at all. Like, Jalen Hurts changed his game. I know Jalen Hurts can win that team a Super Bowl because he almost did it by throwing the football 2 years ago. But he was willing to say, hey, you know what? We have Saquon. We have a great offensive line. When you need me to throw it, I'll throw it. But in the meantime, we're going to change our game, and we're going to run our way to a Super Bowl. And no one is giving this guy credit for doing all the right things his entire career, college and professional, because we're making fun of the Chiefs. I agree with you. It's
I think
odd.
this is a paper straw man. I really do. I really do. I mean,
All right, well, hold on a second. Let me get that for
Okay.
you, then. I got to
Thank you,
find
Dan.
it. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Straw man.
Jalen Hurts had a produced Super Bowl commercial by Jordan Brand in that. He is the face of a football brand. His airness handpicked him. He's in Disney World. He's played well now in 2 Super Bowls against the Kansas City Chiefs. He made a bomb-ass throw, probably the throw of that game. He wasn't limited. He came in. There were some critics saying that this guy's not the most spectacular guy on his own offense, and it's by a wide gulf. He was the best player on that offense in that game. And I think, quite honestly, yeah, the nature of social media is to make fun of the loser. But I think the main takeaway from what I sampled across the nation was, God damn, that defensive line from Philadelphia was really good. And everybody was giving them credit because everybody was taken aback. We don't see Kansas City dominated like that over the course of this entire run. We've never seen that. So Philadelphia got plenty of credit, I think.
And I think credit to Jalen Hurts because he's had to change his game so many times from the college level to the pro level where it was like, all right, we know you can't throw the ball, you can only run, to all of a sudden, wait a second, like he can start throwing the ball now. Now they changed their entire identity offensively. Now we have Saquon Barkley, we're going to run the piss out of the ball, and yet continues to make great throws. The throw he had A.J. Brown to start the game was incredible. Dropped it completely in a bucket, got called back. Then he had the throw to Devontae Smith. Like, he's shown you his progression as a quarterback from his time at Alabama to now winning Super Bowl.
The Jordan Brand commercial was like, what are you going to say now? If I told you the Kansas City defense would do that good a job against Saquon Barkley headed into that game, tell you nothing about what has happened on the other side of the ball, you're like, okay, Eagles probably lose that game if you bottle up Saquon Barkley. If they have to count on Jalen Hurts to win that game. They did, and they won easily.
Do you think Jalen Hurts keeps his pennies?
I want to play a sound here. Jalen Hurts did the Disney thing. He had to go to Disney World. He must have been so exhausted. And I know that Jalen Hurts isn't the most exciting talker, but he gives this ESPN TikTok social media person as little as I've ever heard anyone give anyone in an interview.
How many unread text messages do you have after winning the Super Bowl?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
When was the last time you were starstruck? Funniest thing a fan has ever said to you during a game?
Not this one.
What's a classic movie you've never seen?
If I've never seen it, how am I supposed to know?
Funniest NFL player you know?
Lane Johnson.
Could the average person run for 1 yard in an NFL game if they had 10 tries?
I'm sure a wise coach can make it happen.
Your iPhone wallpaper was the last Super Bowl game that you played in. Have you changed it yet?
I got no plans. It's just a wallpaper.
The only thing he answered there, who's your funniest teammate, Lane Johnson? Every other answer, I don't know. Nah, I don't know. Don't know. Haven't changed it.
Sneaky big eyebrows on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Why is he dressed like the Joker going to the art museum?
Disney World is in the background there as he just gives you his only job right now as he arrives at stardom is to give the people some personality. He's not going to, right? He's a great leader, but he's going to fall in line on quarterbacks who don't bring any kind of controversy anywhere near the huddle and don't reveal very much of themselves to anybody. But
So he's too boring. That's why we're not celebrating Jalen Hurts.
Wait a minute.
I mean,
but hold on a second, though, right? Because we're all in agreement. We can diminish whatever the accomplishment was if you want. I can. When Mike says he was the best player that day, no, he wasn't. Saquon Barkley's the best player on their offense. Kansas City stopped him, and it afforded Jalen Hurts an assortment of opportunities that he wouldn't have had if Saquon Barkley hadn't been the running back that's the MVP of their
taking those
team.
flowers right away from him. Look at this guy go.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He had those opportunities 2 years ago. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl.
That is correct. And it becomes about Mahomes choked, Mahomes underachieved. It's not what Jalen Hurts did. It's that, it was 10-0, and then Mahomes throws the interception. It's 10-0, and then all of a sudden Mahomes throws another interception. And we're also in the place where we're wondering, as Travis Kelce and him don't look right, and we haven't seen this for 3 years, do they realize that they don't have a chance? Have they come to the realization that they're sitting in the middle of the Super Bowl going in at halftime, and it's like, we got 23 yards in the first half. What's that? They've got 24 points and should have more. So they're sitting in, and it's the halftime show. And Kendrick Lamar, and they're just sitting in it. And it's like, it's all over. Yeah, well, there will be no comebacks. Yeah, what happened in Houston when we were down 24-0? That's not our team.
Did you see Kendrick Lamar outgain the Kansas City Chiefs in terms of yards during his halftime performance?
David Samson is with us. Look at his face. David Samson is seething. He's so mad. David, look.
What's he mad about?
David, we're a sloppy outfit. We're not always on time. I'm sorry you're so punctual, and I'm sorry we made you wait 8 minutes.
Not even 8 minutes Canadian. It's 9:52.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry we made you wait 12 minutes, David. I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. I'm dealing with crisis management here.
Then it's my fault. I didn't realize that in the middle of a show there's a crisis that requires you to do this, but that's fine. I believe in you and your ability to discern crises.
Okay, but while we're normally sloppy, late, and inconsiderate, in this particular case, would you afford me the trust that I was handling something? And I know you've made it plenty clear that if we're a few minutes late, you're going to have sour smell face as soon as we start.
I don't know what sour smell taste is. I merely am just sitting here. Can we start, though? Have we even started yet?
We have started.
We have started. It's just...
Hello, Stu.
Hi, David.
When we started, you had a sour face as if you weren't happy to be here. And I believe that you should be happy to be here because you've got a successful podcast and because we've helped make you a successful podcast. And what's funny about that?
I am overwhelmed with gratitude. Overwhelmed. Like it towers over me every day. It makes me feel 4'5". That's how heavy the gratitude is that I carry with me every day for being in your orbit. Of course, I love you and your show, but I also understand, having been there last week when you were in New Orleans, I should point out, regardless of your view or the audience's view, we were on time.
Oh, so you're going to blame me for this?
It's hard to not blame you because I've been there with you, and somehow you just get into conversations during a break that's supposed to be 30 seconds, and I have Chris Cody just texting me, hey, man, sorry about this. I can't get him to stop.
Dan runs on Cuban time. That's the time that we run on here. We don't run on American time. We run on Cuban time.
I don't think Chris wanted that out there. I mean,
It was just he was waiting, so it was just hey, we'll be a second. Dan's talking. That's all he said.
One of the rules that I changed at the Marlins is that I no longer accepted Cuban time. When I got to Miami, that was a thing that I was told that, hey, the meeting may not start on time because we have something called Cuban time here. And I said, I don't know what that means. When there's a game at 7:05, the game's at 7:05. When there's a marketing meeting at 3:10, it's at 3:10.
That's like 3:30.
So I don't really understand how you can use a great culture with amazing smells that I'm jealous of as an excuse to be late.
I was arguing with someone.
And it wasn't me. I mean,
it was not.
Well, now I don't believe any of it.
And so we were busy, and it's not Cuban time. You were looking at me. You could see on the screen. Anyway, all right, we will start. Nothing Personal is the name of his podcast, and he's also doing The Sporting Class with Pablo Torre and John Skipper. It's an award-winning, critically acclaimed thing that is no longer just me saying over and over again, hey, there's nothing like this in sports business. You haven't heard an hour like this. It's actually been seen now by the people who cover this stuff and like sports business, and they're like, oh, this per square inch has more business terrain that's being covered than like leaps and bounds beyond wherever Darren Ravel got famous. Like this is sports business being covered better than anyone's covering it. So that's his other podcast, The Sporting Class.
Darren Ravel right now is like, man, what happened? How'd that happen?
How did I get that stray?
What, you got the stray or Ravel got the stray?
He's saying it for Darren Ravel.
Yeah,
It's a quote.
Thank you, Chris.
Hypothetical quote.
I didn't even mean it as a stray. Darren Ravel is the singular business sports journalist that other people think of when they think of sports business. Yes or no?
No.
No.
Who is?
David.
I'm going to say it could be me.
Really? Okay. So that's what you. That's okay. All right. Here we go.
I backed him up.
I think I found them.
So
It's
just to be clear, let's be clear. You think right now that the nation thinks that you're a better and bigger sports business journalist than Darren Ravel?
You'll have to hold on, please. I'm getting a call from my agent. I'm live on the air, so I can't talk now. That's how important I am, that I'm getting calls while on air, because there's barely a time I'm not on air. For you. With such gratitude, I say that.
And still not
He made you.
And still not as famous as Ravel. Like, you think you're what? I don't even know what he's doing. What's Samson doing there? You think that you're bigger than Ravel? I think you're better than him, and then they say he's catching a stray, but you are better than him.
I would say that I am more recognized. I mean, now we're getting into an ego thing, but I'll do it. And I know Darren well, friend, but here we go. I am more recognizable than Darren Ravel. More people could pick me out of a lineup than Darren Ravel. And when it comes to business acumen for someone who's done it and been there and is able to articulate it in a way that an audience can appreciate, understand, and laugh at, I think that I have a leg up there as well.
Look, this is a bold claim that David Samson is making, and it's he's shooting a national and international like a salvo across the career of Ravel, saying, I have surpassed you. I don't believe anyone other than David Samson right now is saying that. I think Samson's the only one saying that. Who else is saying that?
I said it.
You're willing to be out there publicly with the idea that David Samson is more recognizable as a sports business figure than Darren Ravel?
1,000%. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I mean, really, we're just piggybacking on your thoughts. You were the one who took Ravel out, and so we just, we all kind of just followed your lead. I mean,
He did catch a needless stray.
yeah.
Totally needless.
Needless. And it keeps going now.
Yep.
He started a new company called Clicked Media where they do memorabilia stuff.
Now we're helping
And they
What was that?
Huh?
clicked.
Yeah,
Clicked?
you want to say that
Excuse me?
correctly.
Yeah.
Yes, C-K.
Arepa?
Slow down.
C-K.
Clicked.
Rapers.
The movie with Adam Sandler.
We know that.
Okay, there you go.
With an ED.
Yeah, it sounded funny. David, tell me all you can. Pablo Torre did a deep dive on all of the dysfunctions in the Minnesota Timberwolves ownership. And A-Rod, who you negotiated with and learned how little he knew about business, is now running the or won the arbitration hearing that he needed to win. And what has happened there is how interesting to you. Like, what does it mean? Explain it to me better than Ravel would.
Well, he wouldn't explain it to you at all. So there you go. It is extremely interesting to me. And I didn't say that A-Rod was bad at business. I said that he wanted to own a team as badly as Derek Jeter wanted to own a team. And having the two of them both want to own the same team is what drove up the value of the Marlins to heights that it never should have gotten to. The competition between A-Rod and Jeter continues to this day. And don't be fooled by the act they have on Fox. Those guys are not friends. And the reality is what Alex is doing in Minnesota, where he's putting in hundreds of millions of his own money, where Jeter put in nothing really and got a salary, actually. And what A-Rod is going to own a percentage of the Minnesota Timberwolves that Derek never came close to with the Marlins. So A-Rod's actually seen his truth come to pass. And it happened because he got a favorable arbitration ruling because the octogenarian owner of the Timberwolves, a guy named Glenn Taylor, sold the team to A-Rod and Mark Lowry years ago for $1.5 billion. Now the team is worth more. So Glenn Taylor was trying to get out of the deal, saying that A-Rod and Mark didn't properly finance it. It went all the way to an arbitration, and the arbitrators ruled 2 days ago that A-Rod gets the team. So now they have to get approved by the National Basketball Association and Adam Silver and the owners, which they will. And they will then take over a team that many people think will leave the Timberwolves in a better place than it was under Glenn Taylor. And I, for one, am excited to watch him run a team because it's way different to plan a team or to run a team. And I think he's got a chance to be really good at it because he's always been willing to learn and listen and engage with people who have done things that he hasn't done. And if he keeps doing that, he's going to be really good. Of course, the number one thing he can do is not sign a contract, the likes of which he signed with Texas. That will be the best first step.
Ravel has 1.9 million followers on Twitter. David has 43,000.
So let me just be clear about that, Stugotz.
Okay.
If you look at that, means
I'm with you, by the way.
Hold on.
Okay.
That means that Darren Ravel. Go look at the Le Batard Show.
Yeah.
That means that Darren Ravel is that much bigger than Dan and the Le Batard Show, and it's not even close.
Right. No, I
Dan
agree
Le
with you.
Batard and the value of him and his company and his show puts everyone else to shame.
We're not
in
talking.
This industry.
We're not talking about value. We're talking about fame.
You don't think you're more recognizable than Darren Ravel?
Not really. Not really.
Yeah, that's wrong.
You're being humble.
No.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes off strangely, actually.
I don't even, I mean, he's associated with sports business. People are fascinated by sports business, and he's got the unique personality of being someone in this community of people who like sports, of being sort of famously dorky. Like, well, he'll run 40 yards and is a personality. Like he's a bigger personality than I am.
It's a fame off.
I'm not saying that he's not known or that he's not a cool guy or a dorky guy. I'm saying that when it comes to sports business, if you've got two choices of where to get info from, you're going to go to me, not him. And I'm also saying if you've got two people to make an appearance in an event, you're going to go to you and not him.
David, I have a sports business question for you. The Department of Education has officially rescinded NIL-related Title IX guidance, basically making it okay for NIL to have a rev share that is not an equitable split. This is certainly going to get challenged in court, but this is massive news. Basically, the schools that don't really have much interest in having to invest in non-revenue sports now have the okay from the Department of Education to not. Your thoughts?
It's a business. They're running a business. And it's like with Meadowlark or any business, you want to give the money to the people who are producing and to the people who can generate revenue. That's the reality of what these programs are doing. And you're going to see programs disappear and become less relevant because programs are losing money. And when you've got private equity investment or you've got collectives who are funding players and teams, it's based on merit, as it should be. This will be challenged in court because there's everything that he's doing is being challenged. But there are certain things, and not just the penny and hopefully the nickel going forward, that are going to be changed that will actually be to the better. I just don't agree with the way in which they're going about it, but certain things make sense to me. I don't want to be told who to pay money to because I am putting some imputed value of someone's worth based on something other than what their actual worth is.
Why are you shaking your head, Mike?
Jeremy and I have thoughts on this. It's a tough look. I think women's basketball, especially in the collegiate game, is showing you when you finally actually put resources behind this, the sport can grow and be a revenue sport for you as well. I think that there's in the Big 12, there's good softball stories. Women's gymnastics has been huge for NIL and athletes that have benefited from that. It's like any business. You also need seed money to invest to actually see how this grows. And in this golden age of sports media rights, I don't think we should be pulling back. Also, we're taking a step back decades in terms of progress when it finally felt like we were making real inroads on making these non-revenue sports actually revenue generators.
But Mike, we're not pulling back, actually. This is not putting a cap on what NIL can be. This is actually just talking about the distribution of it. And when you talk about investment in gymnastics or other women's sports, when a Caitlin Clark comes around, there's a ton of investment that goes into it in order to try to bolster that and then duplicate that. So these opportunistic investors or collectives will still exist, but you have to have personality. You have to have Twitter followers. You have to have the ability to show a return on the investment. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I have an issue with framing this as if it has anything to do with merit, because that's the reason Title IX was originated in the first place. Is we were not investing in women's sports the same way we were in men's sports. We were not giving equal opportunities. And if we're creating another, we all know that NIL runs college sports now. And if you're not going to have this is no different than a lot of the under the cause of DEI and ripping away all of these other opportunities for any level of equality that we've instituted over the last 60 or 70 years in this country. Like, this is just a microcosm of all of that, ripping away in NIL in particular a demand to have some level of financial equality for men's and women's sports is a major issue that's representative of all of the other issues that we're having right now, like Google kowtowing to removing Holocaust Remembrance Day and Pride Month and Black History Month and Hispanic Heritage from their calendars. Like, it's all related, David.
I don't disagree, and I'm not happy necessarily where we are in many of those regards, but I was trying to just explain the difference. I was trying to simply explain the difference of what this attempt is being made. It's to have allocations according to merit. And you say
merit is the wrong word. Merit indicates that there is some sort of inequality in terms of what how much they're deserving of getting this opportunity. And I just think that the merit element is an issue because that is the term that we are using to justify eliminating all of these types of programs across the board. And I can understand that a privatized thing such as NIL is different than what goes on specifically in the government, but Title IX is a part of what we do within our government. And so I think that we're really blurring the lines all the way across the board. And that's an issue. Like, merit is not how this gets divvied out. It's powerful white men giving more to powerful white men. Like, that's how we know how this works.
When you strip away Title IX protections, the ruling class gets to define what is actually merit-based, which is awfully convenient when they're the ones making the investments.
Right.
Am I confused here, Mike? Is Title IX being rescinded, or is it the
Title IX protections? The Title IX protections, which means...
That's my point.
Yeah, which means, like, athletes, women athletes inside the NCAA, their sports, if you lump their sports against some of the bigger men's sports, the women's sports are generally classified more as non-revenue, and it allows schools to just paint with that broad brush and realize we don't actually have to make a sizable investment in this.
And same as anything else, by the way, like, we can have this conversation when they do rip away Title IX if you want and parse the semantics of what this is versus when they ultimately rip away Title IX. But this is the first step in doing so, right? I mean, we all see the writing on the wall, just like we've seen with any of the rest of this.
I think we should panic right now. And I'm just curious. I'd like you to think about one thing, Jeremy. Imagine if a podcast comes out and it doesn't have an audience, really, and there's no commercials, there's no monetization, but Meadowlark is forced to give that podcast a percentage of its on-air time. It's not based on a return on investment. It's based on nothing but, let's do this for this show, which has not proven to do anything for the bottom line. Do you think that's fair?
I think it's a false equivalence in what we're talking about. I don't believe
it's
that we're
not
talking
an argument
about the same
to keep
thing.
saying that merit's the wrong word. It's a false equivalence. I'm asking you a very simple question, and I understand if you don't want to get into the debate because it can get personal in a way I don't mean to get personal. But I'm asking a simple question that what we're saying with this ruling is that we're going to keep giving money to players. They're going to keep getting paid, but we're going to pay the players who are good. We're going to pay the players who can be helpful to a program, and the program being profitable is exactly how these other sports can survive.
And the lack of resources going toward any of those other programs don't allow you to create the stars that exist, like Juju Watkins right now, or Caitlin Clark, or any of the other stars that we speak about in any other women's sports.
I've heard that argument for 20 years. If you don't invest in something, then how can you bear the fruits of that investment? You know how much money baseball spent trying to find an Indian baseball player? So much money. And finally they said, you know what? This is stupid. We can't find anybody. I think they had those two Pirates guys. They were trying to open up that market the way Yao Ming did for China in the NBA. At some point, you just say to yourself, wow, this is throwing good money after bad, which is the single most important economic principle.
Allow me to help you, though. Given, like you cited Caitlin Clark, this is not that. if we want to get into false equivalencies. And every sport, for the most part, found itself where many non-revenue women's sports find itself right now, which is how we generate an audience. Even American football had to start from a base level of 0. Hell, we have something worldwide that is the biggest sport. Proof of concept. The biggest thing in sports entertainment is soccer, and we've spent 3 decades trying to invest in it to make it a revenue generator in this country, and we can in college athletics, and we are certainly not in the black when it comes to MLS. Things take time. It's not going to stop Apple from investing into it because we know through time, through investment, we can get there.
And there are companies that have tremendous budgets for R&D, and there's a percentage of breakage in all of those budgets where you don't assume that there will be any fruit that comes from that investment. Pharmaceutical companies do it. Media companies do it. It's a very common thing, but at some point you've got to allow the companies to make the decision of where they're going to buttress an investment and where they're going to cut it off.
So I have a problem on my hands here, David. I need the guy that I was just arguing with to find for me Darren Ravel so I can have a business off between you and Darren Ravel tomorrow where you guys have a competition to see who knows more about business, and we put you up against each other. Are you good with that? Get on that, Kugler, please.
Is that what you were arguing about for 12 minutes?
That and other things.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can do that tomorrow. I'd like to find Ravel and have you go against each other. I also need to get to, because I think we're outside of the local hour, but I really do think there's a topic here that the entire room would engage on excitedly, and it's that the Marlins have a Hall of Fame now. And who do you put in the Marlins Hall of Fame? Now, this is something that the nation at large could not give one flying bleep about. Not one flying, I am acknowledging on the front end, this is the sports talk nobody wants.
Right.
This has PFPI Hall of Fame vibes.
Jack McKeon has to be in there, right?
Look, but this is the thing. Yep. This is the thing.
Yeah.
This show wishes to talk about this.
Oh, it's the greatest.
This show wishes to talk about how few or how many Samson would allow through those hallowed doors that no one else cares about.
I got the call that this was happening.
Yeah.
And what I thought the call was hey, we're doing something and we'd like to bring you back to be a part of it because I haven't been invited back to do anything and I haven't been back in 7 years.
You think that they were inviting you to be a part of something Hall of Fame related?
Not to be inducted, but to be part of a ceremony, to be part of recognizing the past. I was not recognized during the anniversary or even invited to watch it, the anniversary of the World Series championship. So I thought that that's what the call was. But in fact, it was a call preparing me for the fact that the Marlins were doing a Hall of Fame and wondering whether I'd be willing to cover it.
Cover it?
Mention it in my show.
Right.
Isn't that what cover it means?
I'm guessing David thinks he should be in the Marlins Hall of Fame. And I'm not certain he's wrong. I mean, he did win a World Series as team president.
And got a ballpark opened.
Yeah.
And so do I think that I should be in the first class? Absolutely not. Do I think that when you look at important figures in the history of the franchise, am I in that conversation? I don't know how to argue against that.
Let's
allow
argue.
me.
So yes, hold on. Everybody back away. Just back away because David, what's about to happen right now? No, David.
You want to take a
past
wild
my
guess?
time.
David,
This is so good.
David, as you claim to be a Hall of Famer in the Marlins Hall of Fame, okay?
Not first ballot, though.
Wait, just so he knows, just so that he knows, okay? We know that David's a teammate and everything else, but what I saw flash across Mike's face is never. Never, and I was right behind him with over my dead body. Over my dead body.
Like me with the Wade statue.
Will David Samson be allowed in the Marlins Hall of Fame? Never.
Absolutely bleeping not. I screamed it.
You might get in.
The other mics might have picked it up. No. You killed baseball in this market. You don't get to be in a Hall of Fame for killing baseball.
I did not kill baseball. I saved baseball in the market, actually.
If there were a Hall of Fame for killing baseball, you'd be first ballot.
Mike, I would like you to never go to a game or an event. I'd like you not to have a moment with your child. I'd like you to just pretend that the park doesn't exist.
Me too.
And when it comes,
every year at tax time.
That used to be the Orange Bowl, and it smelled like urine, and we loved it.
Thank you.
You killed sports on that burial ground.
I'm not going to. First of all, the smell of the Orange Bowl. This is what we want to protect
brother.
in Miami.
Take me back, brother. Oh my gosh, we were looking for a soccer-specific stadium. We were, should we play the lease at Hard Rock Stadium? We had a perfect plot of land. Well, it was imperfect. It's actually a terrible plot of land, and they're actually never developing it. I'm happy that we have like a sports and social going up there now. Finally, it took 15 years for there to be some kind of investment that David told us would happen immediately and never actually happened. Instead, it's the same exact house I used to park at.
Oh my God! They were going to save the economy in the neighborhood, and it's just
So
una
many
bodega, una bodega.
I was making up that part.
You don't say.
You were going to save the local economy, you thief.
Just that part.
Hall of Fame.
I just wanted 1 or 2 square blocks around the Orange Bowl.
I,
And listen, the Hall of Fame, it's not necessarily about who you like or what trade you didn't like. It's about people who mean something to the organization. What is it? What is your view of Carl Barger? Is he someone who should have had his number retired or not?
I thought it was
because
excessive.
He died young.
I thought it was excessive. I wasn't aware of why it was honored. I asked questions, and I'm like, probably not. Probably not.
Chris Cody just whispered to me that David dying is his only shot. And what I say is that at the funeral for David Samson, we should absolutely open around him 2 Hall of Fames. The Hall of Fame that he gets to go into, that is the Hall of Fame first ballot of people who killed the sport in this market, and also the Hall of Fame on people who saved the sport in this market.
It has
because
to be-
that stadium did indeed save it would not be here. Like, they would not have a place to play. Like, it'd be 7 people at a football stadium that we'd still be doing now.
I will activate Radio Mom B. You will not get within 50 yards of this building.
It has to be tragic, though, his death.
It's got to be a newsmaker, a real newsmaker.
He can't live until he's 92 and just pass
That's
away
correct.
old age. It has to be tragic.
It's not going to be never, like Mike says, but it will be only if he lives into his thousands. Because he's not human. Because he's not a human being. David, before we get to your review of the week, I am told that you have a sponsored segment now. I don't know how it is that this happened. I don't know how it is that Top 5 Kisses is something that you're here to do in a sponsored segment. Can you please take me through what it is that we're doing right now?
Business. We're trying to have a functioning company where we acknowledge and take care of our sponsors, and we do things that are monetizable so that you all can get paid. Are you actually asking me how and why we do this?
Could have just said, David, you got a top 5. Go for it.
Jesus, Dan. Can you onboard that better? Please.
It is no is the short answer.
That's how he does it.
But I didn't know how I was going to segue from the fun we were having to David wants to talk about kisses.
Just say Valentine's Day is coming up on Friday, February 14th, and I assume that everyone's going to do something nice for either themselves or someone else. And David, do you have a top 5 list? And I would have said this top 5 is brought to you by NYX Professional Makeup. Shop now at nyxcosmetics.com or a retailer near you. And then I would say, get the music ready.
All right.
I've got a top 5 sports movie kisses.
Let's do it.
All right, there's music. There's not music. Okay, so I'm glad you guys
Is that my fault too?
Yeah.
So I've been working on that
Sports
opportunity?
movie kisses?
Okay, yes. Because Chris and David Samson worked so hard on how to do this well for the sponsor, they've got a top 5 list of top 5 movie kisses. Any OLI, or we're just starting with number 5?
Oh, no, I have OLI.
Oh,
and
no.
This is OLI just for you, Stu. Rocky, the kiss between Rocky and Adrian.
It's a good one. Yes, it is.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I have another OLI,
Right.
and this one's for you, Dan. The kiss between Richard Dreyfuss and Terry Garr at the end of Let It Ride when he says, I'm having a really good day.
This is a movie that only David and Richard Dreyfuss are trying to keep alive in the American consciousness. It's just not worth you bringing up every segment.
It's a Hall of Fame movie.
No, it is not.
Worst event
And
I've
I
ever
will
been
take
attached
that to my grave,
still scarred.
which
There was
may
a
be coming sooner than
monsoon.
you thought. Can I go to number 5, Chris?
Sure.
Top 5 sports movie kisses. Number 5, For the Love of the Game, the kiss between Kevin Costner and Kelly Preston. Woo, that was hot. That's it, Chris?
He's got
Number 4?
sultry music for you. Now we finally got some. Now this is how you say Valentine's Day. See, look, a little effort from Chris Cody.
It still kisses in sports movies.
That's right.
though. I mean,
But this is how we do
Bill
it. though.
Raftery, the kiss.
That's right.
Kissed off the glass. Number 4, The Wrestler. Kissed between Marissa Tomei and Mickey Rourke.
Tomei.
Everybody was thinking is
Tomei. You got your own Venmo fine bucket.
Tomato.
I'll get to the Venmo bucket in a minute because I actually followed the rules of the Venmo bucket and Venmoed money into the bucket.
Yeah.
And I was made fun of by certain people saying that nobody actually does the Venmo.
No, I
That's
do.
a different
Bother me.
sponsor.
No,
We're
I
crossing
do.
swords.
Come on.
Crossing streams.
Eye
Don't
on the ball,
cross the
boys.
streams.
Eye on
with
the
Knicks.
ball, boys.
The number 3 sports movie kiss, which is brought to you by Nick's Professional Makeup, is a movie called Love and Basketball. There is a kiss between the characters Quincy and Monica. You may want to watch that. Number 2, who's not interested in tennis?
You may
There's a
want
movie
to
called-
watch that. You may want to
the
watch
eyebrows
that.
raised
Like,
up.
why did you raise your eyebrows? The whole thing.
Super horny.
You creeped all of
First
us
ballot
out
horn
with
ball.
all of us were made uncomfortable by your eyebrows. Please don't do that again.
Okay. Number 2, Challengers. There is a 3-way kiss between Zendaya, a guy named Mike Feist, the actor, and Josh O'Connor. If you haven't seen Challengers, the score should have been nominated for an Oscar, and it wasn't. This scene when they're on the bed, you're thinking to yourself, what am I about to see? And then you don't see it. Okay.
I
this
think
is it.
I do want to do. I
Breathy.
think sensual Samson. I think this is a good character.
He's right about Challengers, though.
Number 1.
The number 1 sports movie kiss of all time is in a movie called Major League with Rene Russo and Tom Berenger at the end after they've won the pennant, and they kiss in a way that makes you feel like sports is life.
That was, by the way, after Tom Berenger with a man on second surprised everybody with a bunt, and the guy scored from second. To
Wesley
home
Snipes.
Because no one was expecting Tom Berenger to be able to leg out a bunt.
Not even
And
Tom.
he could barely do it.
Nobody.
It was an intense 90 feet, him sprinting.
But again, Wesley Snipes scored from second in the amount of time it took a collapsing Tom Berenger to arrive at first.
Terrible omission not having Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan kissing.
Yeah.
Samson, we have no time for a review unless you can do it in a minute.
No, that was the segment, Dan.
Oh, I still haven't spoken to him about Nosferatu.
I wanted Mike. I didn't know you were in because I can never understand the schedule, but I did watch Nosferatu, and I do want to review it with you on the air because it's still with me.
May we? Can we? Let's do it. Yeah, review it. Marty Scorsese turned out to be a big Robert Eggers guy. Loved it. Robert Eggers, he's been quoted as saying, I never want to make a movie in the modern era. I only want to do period pieces. It's a bit divisive, mostly because of a mustache. I'm curious to hear your thoughts because you don't like horror movies.
Well, I won't watch horror movies until you ask me to. And the jump scares in the beginning, I almost didn't make it through. Nosferatu is nominated for multiple Academy Awards, especially in a category that you wouldn't expect, cinematography. It is one of the most beautiful films shot of the year. Why do I say it? Because you are looking at Lily Rose Depp, who got her way past the Idol. You are looking at one of the Skarsgårds who is playing in makeup that should win Best Makeup. And he is 10 feet tall, playing the How much do I owe? Just tell me.
$7 now. $7.
I'll pay whatever you want.
Nation, what happened here?
Whatever we want.
$7.
I'll Venmo anything you want. I don't exactly know how to get the doorbird to go on silent when my phone's on silent.
Oh, that was your phone. Okay, so that's $12. You now because you also have coughed several times into the microphone while trying
Let's
to
just
turn.
make it 20.
Okay.
So an even 20?
Yes. Go ahead. $20.
I'm happy. I will acknowledge it. I'm mortified by it. I don't know what to do about it. So back to Nosferatu.
Finish your review.
My review is that if you have an opportunity to appreciate filmmaking and you can get through the fact that it is a period piece that is scary, that's in black and white, that has blood, that is a strange sex scene, maybe the strangest sex scene I've ever seen. And Mike, I consider Nosferatu for my top 5 kisses of all time when she goes in to kiss the vampire, which we can talk about. But I felt like the open sores took away from the beauty of the moment, but not the artistic value of it. It's a movie, Mike, that I absolutely loved. And here's a secret for you, Mike. I watched it twice because the first time through, I had my eyes covered for a decent percentage of it, and I wanted to get the whole experience with eyes wide open.
Go ahead, Tony. Make fun of Samson.
No,
there.
I like the idea of Samson sitting by himself,
yes.
dark. All of a sudden, he's like, oh!
Listen to me.
That's what I do.
I want you to imagine this because it's how I imagine it. David Samson, a child. David Samson, who's told us he's afraid of the dark. David Samson, who has since conquered his fear of the dark. I imagine him and his insomnia in a very large room watching a horror movie when he doesn't want to watch horror movies. And now he is 5-year-old David Samson.
Wearing thong sandals.
5 years old.
With a bag of candy.
Yes?
I can't deny that any of that is not true. I did watch the movie twice alone, and I did do it when it was light out, and I did do it in a room with lights on first time through because I didn't want to add to my level of fear. However, there was no candy during the movie. I was too scared of choking because I was anxious and I felt my throat closing. So I don't eat candy when I'm watching a movie when I have anxiety.
Samson, thank you. Chris Cody, you've never been better. Your musical choices were really artistic there. Kugler, business off tomorrow. Samson and Ravel. Thank you, Samson.
From fireside conversations to football Sundays, winter means more moments with the coolest people in your life. Make these moments even better with Miller Lite, the great tasting light beer for people who love beer. A new year is a perfect time for friends, family, and a great tasting light beer. Tastes like Miller time. You know, 2024 had its ups, had its downs, had a lot of moments in it. For me, many of those moments, I had a Miller Lite right there by my side. I supplemented my time by making it a Miller time. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Miller Lite has taste you know you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just a great beer for people who love beer. Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers, and it has simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and that iconic golden color. The original light beer since 1975 and still the very best one. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
I'm sorry that I am delayed or I've kept the live audience waiting here. I was too busy watching the Title IX twins over there salute each other for how good they were
It's
last
just
segment.
gross. No, I think I had the best line. No, I thought my line.
I had the best point. I made the best point. Oh my God!
I want to make it abundantly clear. Mike had the best point.
That's always the answer. The answer is always Mike.
That was
Good
a
job
great
out of
point
you.
by
Yes.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good point by you.
The two of them like slapping each other on the back so heartily.
We are allies. Yeah, go.
It's a progressive off.
Yeah.
Allies.
I made the best point. It's something I've never
Who's
heard.
the most progressive?
Great
Mike
point.
made the best
When
point.
I
really-
soccer. Actually, I could have made that point even better because, like soccer,
gee,
we've been trying
more.
for decades to have liftoff in this country. But guess what? Who's actually had success there? Oh, the old Title Niners.
I just pray to God that we get this all settled, and when she gets it settled, we'll all be in a much better place.
Go off, King.
I mean, come on.
Good point.
What does that mean?
Woman God, huh? God's a woman.
Oh,
Mike, you gave that to him, right?
Yeah, that's a good. He's an ally.
Allies, baby.
Okay, so congratulations, gentlemen, on discussing
No lies, just allies.
women's sports.
I noticed that you guys were on the sidelines. Didn't like that.
We were watching you.
We were watching you guys work.
I wasn't letting you talk.
You guys were so pleased with the points that you were making. I wanted to get to top 5 kisses.
Look at that. A good point that did nothing but turn our audience against us.
I've been making those all our life.
Those great points by Jeremy and Mike last segment were brought to you by Venmo.
Wow.
Well, since we're doing sponsorship now, and we made the mistakes of cross-sponsoring some things in the last segment, I do want to say something on behalf of 1-800-Flowers, a sponsor that has come with us. I have, over the years, when I worked for the man, threatened you if you don't buy 1-800-Flowers. But I now want to show gratitude for both the sponsors who come with us everywhere and make us Stugotz in a very, very difficult media time. Like the number one billing thing in the sports podcast space and the podcast space is tough. And it's because a whole bunch of people, when we left ESPN, rallied behind us and sponsored that our audience is the most loyal. So now I'm asking our audience to show 1-800-Flowers what they paid for. Like, I'm asking our audience, hey, this is pretty easy. Pick up the phone or get on the internet and just send someone you care about flowers and support the sponsor that supports us so that 1-800-Flowers may get a loving gesture from our audience that has been threatening in the past by me.
Right.
But if you don't do well today, okay, I'm going to go to the home of old people you care about and put Legos on the floor.
Ooh, wow. Wow.
Yikes.
Wow.
Well said, Dan. 1-800-Flowers has been with us for years. We love them. This Valentine's Day, 1-800-Flowers.com has you covered. Order early, score huge savings like double the roses for free. You have to act now. Visit 1-800-Flowers.com/Dan.
It's not even just the Legos sticking to the feet, but they're older. That could just compound issues. They try to avoid the Legos. They fall. We all know how tender the hip is at that age.
That's the point, yes.
Don't make it come to that. Just buy the flowers, show 1-800-Flowers, show them that you, our audience, when we ask you to spend some money, continues to support us in all the good places. But I will escalate this to threats tomorrow before Valentine's Day if today you don't do it well.
Any big plans?
I have learned that this is an important thing to celebrate my wife's love as many times as I possibly can, whenever I can.
This is a big day, yes, Dan.
You can celebrate your love, too.
Right.
My wife's love is an interesting way to put that one.
Yes.
My wife's love of romance. My wife's
Of the
love
day.
of
But it's your love.
celebrating
Yes.
our love.
It's your
It's
love
really
for her.
important.
It's her love for you.
I've had to be taught. No,
You
I've
gotta
had
do
to
it on the day. It's really important that you do it on the day.
Yeah.
It's very important that I do it every day.
Wow.
Well,
But
but
more
it feels
so-
more
That will
so.
go
More so
away.
on this
Yeah,
day,
this day's
dedicated
important.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you
Have you explained that the menu options are a little bit more limited and there's more crowds?
It's like a
that if you just
prefix
either
kind of
wait
thing.
or do it ahead of time, that can be your Valentine's Day, sweetie. And we can all enjoy it much more. Have you done that? Have you tried having that?
Have you tried
No.
a guy strip?
No. Yeah. We're going to Canada.
Sorry, honey.
Sorry, Four Nations just comes once.
Gonna get that poutine, eh?
You two are going together?
Yeah. Yeah, we're broing out. Yeah, we're going up to
So
the
wait,
Four
hold on.
Nations tomorrow.
You guys got the okay from your collective wives to go out of the country on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, Valentine's Day is just a day on a calendar. Valentine's Day is something that I never celebrate on Valentine's Day. If you do so, you're doing it wrong. Sorry, Dan. I'm very resolute in this opinion. You get the worst service, you get the worst menu items, you get packed crowds. You do it on either the week after or the week before. You have a much better experience, and you celebrate a value. You give roses, you do all the traditional stuff. You just don't do it on the day.
Mike is right about this. I mean, you have to show your wife that you love her 364 days out of the year. Not on Valentine's Day, though, because everyone is doing the thing on Valentine's Day. Why compete with everyone when you can have your own day to yourself? You know what I'm saying?
And if that day is spent watching
Yeah.
Finland, Sweden, and then take a little
that's
break,
what it is, yeah.
catch up with the Spittin' Chicklets boys, and then watch USA Canada
Yes.
in what might now be a
Boom.
geopolitical storm,
Yep.
then you do so.
Yep.
Mike is doing this because he's an ally.
Does Roy ever put down his hockey in the name of romance?
Generally, I try. unless of course it's a home game, and then I have to go out and cover the game. But
I
outside
imagine
of that,
Roy.
yes.
I imagine Roy has a hockey stick in the bedroom.
It's in the office actually.
It's in his pants.
So Valentine's Day is on Friday. Is it? It's on Friday.
That's the day after emo goth night.
No. So that is emo goth night. Emos versus goths. You have to pick a side. So we're going to
They're
go
different?
to a big steak dinner. We have a big steak dinner in
nice.
Montreal, Gibby's, and then the 8 of us are going to walk a mile in sub-zero temperatures and go to emos versus goths.
It's
Team
9
goths.
degrees right now there.
It's in his pants.
The stick.
Oddly shaped.
I saw a commercial for that actually during the Super Bowl. I think it's called
I
Peroni's
did.
disease.
Yeah, Peroni's disease.
I've been telling you guys about that,
The
man.
rare disease. It sounds like a delicious pasta.
You've been telling us about that?
I hear these ads all the time.
Stugotz has been telling you about that. He's been trying to get ahead of the curve. He was telling you guys.
Quite literally. This is Peroni's served al dente.
Carrot.
Excellent work by you, Stugotz, always. Video team, I don't know how these things happen. It's confusing to me, but thank you for finally putting up in the corner of the screen that tremendous video that I'd like to be doing things like that more often because I don't believe things like that are real. And I want 4 people falling down at the gym because one person was on a treadmill. My guess is that I could watch videos like that the rest of my life and die happy. If you just put me on an endless loop of viral videos of people falling down on a treadmill at the gym.
We're aware that was a C block on Highly Questionable. He wrote it to great success.
I know, but it died.
Hey, that guy got hit in the balls.
Oh.
It was
Hold on.
either that or the handshake was my greatest legacy trying to bring journalism to ESPN. Yes, my father's fake handshake, or yes, that guy got hit in the balls. That was it.
Always funny though. I mean, always funny when he got hit in the balls.
Did you guys pitch the, hey, you got something on your shirt, look down. Oh, got your nose.
Yeah, they tried that at the beginning. It didn't work.
What do you guys think about Gaza?
Dan's laughing at both men and women in this video because he is an ally.
You guys, the Title IX twins, have not spoken up.
I don't love that.
I do. I love Title IX.
Why wouldn't your life be in the Title IX twins?
All
What's
right.
wrong with that?
All right. I guess it is what it is.
You're allies.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that?
Now you put yourself in quite the pickle.
You know what? I love it. The Title IX twins, put it on a T-shirt. Me and Mike standing next to each other, back to back, just sort of like Charlie's Angels
But
style.
why are you walking it back? I don't understand why are you, what just happened? Why?
It feels like we're making fun of Title IX, Dan.
No, just making fun of you.
Now,
Nope.
now we've just become the Chive channel.
We can only make fun of allies.
With less boobs.
What we have happening, let's play this sound here of Dana White. This is a thing that works
Transition.
now. Okay. Well, because from Title IX twins, I want to get more woke talk out there because
walk?
One of the things that is happening that has been fascinating to watch is the watch. Mixed martial arts going from signing deals in an alley to climbing to the greatest halls of power where you can slap your wife in public. There are no consequences. You just keep big upping the deal. It's the streaming age. You were able successfully to grow your business during a pandemic in a way that was aggressive and politically astute and brave to keep your business running successfully, testing parameters, because you have been for a long time a renegade business rewarded for being that renegade, and now you are mainstream. You are working with Disney. You have all the major corporate sponsors. John McCain is dead. He no longer calls it cockfighting. You
All we're missing is Fertitta Brothers from you.
Yeah! Jimmy Pitaro's silent. Come on, give me that one. Give me that one. Just need one more. Come on, this is the quickest ever. Couldn't even get out McCain. I didn't even write. I'm a human cock.
Oh my God.
Human what?
We can just go into the UFC. We don't need to give the history of it every time.
Well, the reason I'm giving the history is because now Dana White is more powerful than he's ever been. And that's a little more dangerous than it felt before when he was just the carnival barker. And he wasn't leading a sport that the roots of it. And this is one of the reasons I want to give the history, because I don't think that maybe the majority of the audience knows just how extraordinary Joe Rogan has been for that sport as someone who really cares about it when he doesn't care about sports and expertly calls it in a way that has grown the sport and its audience in a way that now there's a seismic country climate shift on Theo Vaughn's getting to the MMA rink 4 hours early for the prelims because that side's winning. Those things are winning in this country, and the hood ornament now is Dana White being right between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, wherever all the power goes, and he's doing it after slapping his wife in public, more powerful than he's ever been.
I think the UFC, the Rogan culture, all of that was certainly spearheading the societal shift that is very clearly happening. We see big tech companies bend the knee when it comes to some of these things. It's everybody in power has just collectively decided what we were doing a few years ago, or we were actually listening to people that we've offended or want to be inclusive. We're going to walk all that stuff back, and that's fine. Look, the UFC, previous years and incarnations would fine, suspend, even fire fighters for things that they said. And Dana White has actually been quite eloquent when there was transphobia in his sport before, but as a part of this shift that he kind of was at the forefront of, he's gone away from that. You had an MMA fighter appear to be a Nazi sympathizer and that's at the very least in Bryce Mitchell. And Dana White was good in criticizing those comments. He was very stern in opposition against them, but he didn't actually take any punitive measure against Bryce Mitchell. And look, we've gone viral before talking about Sean Strickland. I'm not a fan. I think it's repulsive and all that other stuff, but Dana White champions Sean Strickland's ability to say these things just like he did with Bryce Mitchell. This is very much a free speech absolutist, it would appear. However, I'm a little confused by the mixed messaging because Dana White has all sorts of opinions when people have opinions about him. It's almost as if everybody else in the UFC is entitled to use their right to free speech, but if you use it against the UFC, then he's got a problem with it. So I think with this UFC fight in Australia, Sean Strickland did draw first blood. He's very combative in these press conferences. It's how that and his fighting ability have elevated him to a headliner. But Tony, he had to go at Australia and their more progressive laws, and Australia didn't come out really against him. They just kind of fired back.
I think the thing to think with Sean Strickland is this, right? Like, it's actually much quieter than last time around than what we had when he was fighting Dricus du Plessis the first time, right? Like, when all this stuff really happened.
When he was like champ.
When people figured out, oh, wait a second, Sean Strickland is an absolute crazy person and says things that people don't say into microphones. Now, a year later, he's doing the same thing in a different continent, on a different side of the globe that really didn't reach back to America. So it was a lot of Australian media that was coming out saying, please knock this guy out. Now, I think the caveat that we want to add here is, yes, Dana White was having a go at the Australian media, but the headline and the front page was making kind of backtrack to Dana being on a podcast with the Australian Prime Minister, in which the opinion piece of the writer was saying that he was made sick of Dana White and the Prime Minister, the Premier is what they call it over there, being on a podcast together. So I think Dana was calling them the P word in regards to, how do you feel like legitimately sick that I'm on a podcast with the Prime Minister? I think that's kind of where the disconnect is.
This is the leader of a major sport here in the U.S., akin to Roger Goodell in the NFL,
Yes.
only this guy has political influence in ways that Roger Goodell doesn't even have. And hell, he's now on the board of Meta. Dana White has legitimate, huge power. Really powerful dude in the world of sports and politics because he kind of helped normalize Donald Trump's resurgence back in one of the great comeback stories in American politics. Donald Trump was steadfast in making sure it was a normal scene to see Donald Trump amongst the people after even Coca-Cola came out against him on January 6th. But what I am at a loss for is how sensitive, because the right had a word for this, whenever the left was offended by something easily. And they would call them snowflakes. Why is this dude such a snowflake about criticism he is welcoming? If you are indeed a free speech absolutist, then maybe, just maybe, take a beat and don't call the media. Number one, that's not professional. Number two, that's how you get down, that's fine. But you come across soft, in my opinion, when that's immediately what you go to. When you're welcoming this, they're selling your fight, bro. You have Sean Strickland there to create those headlines. Headlines are a good thing in your business. They give you those headlines. Snowflake.
Let's play that sound, please, for the audience so that Dana White can be heard and how this is how he reacts to the media. But this you do understand, this is a winning position to attack the media. It's the easiest thing. Dana White has no use for your journalism. He ran a journalist, Ariel Helwani, out of all of the places that Ariel Helwani dares to ask difficult questions of important people.
He has no use for our journalism. Tony does a great job with the MMA Hangout. A great job. It does really well. We love the UFC. And as uncomfortable as it is, even though a bunch of people who didn't want Colin Kaepernick kneeling because they didn't want politics in sports, and yet I see an entire card get hijacked by a victory party by Donald Trump and his cronies, I still watch the UFC. I think they have a terrific product. I would like for them to practice what they preached several years ago in keeping the politics somewhat out of it. I know some of that stuff is unavoidable, but I am just a little shocked that when you buck back against it, you either limit media availability like they have with us, or you just straight up call them the P word. It seems a little snowflake.
Let's play that sound, please.
But listen, for a place that is so tough and the people, everything on land and the water can kill you. You have the biggest I've ever seen in the media in my life. I saw a story where a guy was like, I saw Dana do a podcast with the premiere and it physically made me sick. Holy You guys have to have the biggest of all time in the media here.
There's a lot of tough talk from this guy, and he always does that like whiny voice. Like, look, I told you, in as manly a voice as I can muster, not a fan of all of that. You do it, I watch anyways, we move on. I use my pulpit to say how I feel. You take great offense and try to limit my ability to do that. That doesn't actually feel like free speech. Not one bit.
Well, it doesn't also feel like tough, but I suspect that Dana White and I probably define tough differently, right? Like, I think that where he lives, tough is you go looking for the fight and I can beat you up with my hands, but you will not criticize me. I will overpower you. And then you slap your wife in a nightclub because you're tough.
And we watch. I mean, that's part of the problem, right?
It's not part of the problem. Violence sells in this country, and he's got a monster business, and he's accruing power, and there haven't been any consequence other than reward for the accruing of that power. Like, it's just more and more and more power, and then you get to a place where the money and power becomes so important to people that Elon Musk and Trump are just walking around next to each other because the people, they all look the same, they all have the same belief system, and they all believe in the idea, as Dana White got to his riches, the minorities and whatever's happening with their bodies, we're going to keep their pay way down, and that's how I'm going to get to be the guy that's drunk in Las Vegas spilling millions of dollars in chips all over the place when I'm partying because I've got the labor locked in and I've figured out sports and how to do all the injustices. And hey, look, now I've got a media partner and I'm teaming up with everybody because I'm mainstream because John McCain is dead and it's cockfighting.
Bingo! Let's go! I got it. I think you made it a little bit about more what I was talking about. I just want the guy that talks tough, that is a free speech absolutist, to not limit the free speech of other people and not call people the P word and act somewhat reasonably. Look, people have
Mike, you're asking the most inconsistent people on the planet to be consistent.
They've already shown that they don't have to cave to perceived societal norms, moving on with their careers, surviving scandals that other people wouldn't. Roger Goodell wouldn't be able to survive the scandal that Dana White went through. That's all said and done. The fighter pay, all that other stuff. Dana White is a cult of personality, and, it's kind of in line with MMA. I just don't understand why this dude is so easily offended.
Okay, but again, when we talk about the different definitions for tough, right, I would never say that Strickland is not tough, but a whole lot of fighters today are saying some stuff about how Strickland was in that fight, not showing a lot of respect to Strickland on a night when a whole lot of people were watching Strickland, at least in part because many agree with all of the things that he says that are racist and everything, because Strickland is out there. But on top of that, enjoyed watching him get his nose broken. Like, enjoyed having the pleasure of watching a fight, and someone you're rooting against is now their face is just really bloodied because their nose has been busted open.
I think the tough part, too, about Strickland is he was always kind of like a journeyman guy, and then had that moment where he beat Israel Adesanya in an overwhelming fashion.
Who might be done.
Who is cooked. That's another story for another day. But he's going to start working with Alex Pereira now, so we'll see what happens there. But we can all see, or we've all seen, if you follow the sport, the video and the visual of Sean Strickland basically yelling at Izzy Adesanya, like, that's it? That's all you got? And at that point, he kind of took off, went on Rogan, talked about his childhood. There was like a bit of, okay, wait a second, there's a star turn here for Sean Strickland, and then everybody realized, oh, wait a second, he's a crazy person. Now, the issue that people are having now is these guys are warriors, right? These guys put their body, their life, everything on the line when you walk into that octagon. A lot of fighters, a lot of coaches were looking at Sean's performance over the weekend and being like, yeah, you broke your nose. That happens every fight. You keep fighting, you keep pushing. It looked like he was kind of taking his foot off the gas a little bit, saying, all right, I can't beat Dricus on the floor. I can't beat him standing up because I can't get him, right? What do? I'm just going to try and throw haymakers and hope something lands.
And Dana kind of knew this headed into the fight.
It's the last time that he's going to be headlining a card of a pay-per-view for sure.
He said,
it's
like,
over.
it wasn't the woke mob that was most powerful in terms of getting this guy off the card. Dana
himself.
White said himself, like, I have my concerns about this guy because of his style of fighting. And now that we've seen what's happened to Adesanya since, like, maybe there was a bit of fool's gold when it came to Sean Strickland. DDP has dominated him and totally controlled him. And now, not Diamond Dallas Page, but it seems as though that arrow is pointing way, way down for Sean Strickland. That's fine. There's always going to be another Sean Strickland. There might be another Bryce Mitchell for all I know, and that's cool. I've grown accustomed to this.
It's not cool.
It's not cool, but it is what it is with that
part of the
sport.
sport,
Their
right.
corporate partner in ESPN, dead silent. Dead silent. You.
It's not cool, Mike. It's not
on
like,
Disney Plus, you can
all
get
of
pay-per-views,
this,
and
all
there's
of
a
this
dude
being
espousing these
all
things.
all of these things being laundered is not cool.
It's not cool, and you should have the right to have a rebuttal, and we should have a civil discussion on this. Only Dana White doesn't take opposition as civil. He goes on the offensive, and he tries to bury you if you disagree with his MO. And to me, that just doesn't mesh with the public persona.
If I can add just a bit of context when you say it doesn't mesh with the public persona. It would if your starting point allowed slapping the wife in the bar to stick. It would mesh with the public persona if the thing that he did had consequences.
It's the only time he's actually shown contrition.
But that's good for business. Look,
it's the only time that he says, say
good
whatever you
it's
want
good for
about
business,
me.
Man.
And he still doesn't push back on that stuff. It's his fighters, it's the transphobia, it's the homophobia, it's the racism, it's the anti-Semitism that I wish he were stronger against. Now, he did come out in opposition of Mitchell's comments. He did, but he didn't actually take a punitive measure because, look, he didn't take a punitive measure for himself, really. He survived his scandal, although apples and oranges, what we're talking about. If the discourse is now in a place because you helped bring it there, then you should at least, I'm not even asking for 50-50 split here, dude. I am not. I'm asking for 90-10. If allow for 10% of civil discourse in opposition and not get your panties in a bunch every time someone comes out and criticizes you in public and not try to limit their access. We're adults here, are we not?
With the Thug Nasty situation, Bryce Mitchell obviously went on a podcast, said a lot of insane things. Even Sean Strickland, who is out there, was like, yeah, I think Bryce is just an idiot. He's uneducated. Like, he doesn't really know what he's doing a lot of the time. So for him to say that, like, the line is obviously very out there. Mike, what's the punitive measure that you want for a sport, right? This is not a weekly sport. This is not a daily sport. It's not like the NBA where we're playing 3 times a week.
Yeah.
The NFL, we got 17 weeks
How
in a
do
row
you
that we're gonna
suspend
play.
somebody that fights every couple of months?
How do you suspend somebody who's going to fight 7 months from now?
For what
and then
Mitchell
be
did,
like, oh, okay.
for what Mitchell did, I think you fire him. because what Mitchell did was disgusting. Now, he walked it back some. Some people weren't all right with his apology. But you have to at least assure people that there is some sort of punitive measure. Does he have the ability to fine fighters? That's something that you can do. Not just zero punitive measure at all, because you're basically saying Mitchell's going to get bigger because of this. Mitchell's star is rising. Many people are hearing his name for the very first time. It appears as though Dana White is going to leverage this ascension somewhat on the next card, just the same way he's done so with all these other inflammatory fighters. We get that. It's the fight game. Cool. But if I have something to say about it and you want to, in turn, limit my access, I think you're soft.
The problem is the key is winning in that sport too, right? Like you can't be the guy that just gets his ass kicked and then espouse whatever you want that is unsavory and be like, oh, it's a star turn. It's like, no, wait a second. Like you have to keep winning. The reason why Sean Strickland was in these positions is because he became champion, is because he was like, all right, I'm a good enough fighter to become a champion of division. Doug Nasty is not that. Like, dude, he's gotten his ass beat plenty of times.
There is a value in wanting, all right, I hate what that person represents. I hate what they say. Now, they have not tried to appeal to me in any sort of way. The whole business model of come watch this guy get his ass kicked because he offends you, kind of goes out the door when you welcome what you welcome into your events. I don't actually feel welcome at the UFC. I'm quite literally not welcome at the UFC. So what I would like is just some kind of leeway here and not just all this BS tough talk.
I was new to this story, so I wanted to look up what Bryce Mitchell actually said or did, because we just kind of keep talking about like, oh, you know, what Bryce Mitchell did. Quote, here's what I say about Musk hailing Hitler. Hailing the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy, based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination, Mitchell said. Mitchell continued, I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy I'd go fishing with. He fought for his country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays. They were gaying out the kids. They were queering out the women. They were queering out the dudes. Do you know where the first tranny surgery ever was? Happened to be in Germany before Hitler took over. You know the books that everybody makes fun of Hitler burning? You know what the books was? Queer books. Hitler burned queer books because Hitler didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. They can't produce children. He then continued on with more. So that's what we're talking about.
End quote.
No suspension. No punitive measures. Just, hey, I don't like what he said.
Yeah, and it should be a little scary. It's some of the things that were invoked there and some of the things that are being invoked now in terms of transphobia and all that. And look, this is reaping what you sow. Dana White, certainly, when he enables some other people, some other fighters that say inflammatory things or have off-the-court allegations and whatnot, he probably doesn't think that this is the next stage in evolution of it. But it is, because you've kind of shown your level of tolerance. And hell, some people get rewarded for their inflammatory behavior in the UFC.
Well, that last sentence, Mike. Some people get rewarded for their inflammatory behavior in the UFC. Boxing, the carnival barkers, the business of the fighting sports, which is different from all of the other sports because they're individuals and it's wrought with corruption and everything else. These sports do not have governance and have loose ties to mainstream sports regulation. And what Dana White has built comes only with rewards. Like when you're talking about they get rewarded, the fighters get rewarded for that. Dana White has had no consequences to being how he is other than rewards. There's nothing but more money and more power accrued and more ability to be more and more of those things because he now has more allies and more power behind him than he's ever had. It's not a couple of people that benefit from this. It's him and the entirety of his sport.
And look, I know that there's a lot of talk about echo chambers, but he's quite literally built an echo chamber with who he allows to cover the sport.
This is not an echo chamber.
And if you are indeed all about free speech, you have to welcome in voices that are there to hold you accountable, because if you are not going to govern yourself, then you need to be governed by shame. And there's a whole collective of people kind of spearheaded by that UFC and that whole free-thinking culture that thinks that they're just immune to shame, that they don't actually have to hear it, that you yourself are a snowflake for calling someone into question, for holding them accountable. And I think that's talking out of both sides of your mouth.
I've never missed Jimmy Butler so much.
I don't think you can say panties in a bunch anymore.
I made a point to do that.
He's an ally.
Made a point to do that.
Jimmy?
Well, he only understands bully talk. So we'll do that. We'll do that too. I want her to speak in a language that he apparently can understand.
You know, the Oklahoma City Thunder have the best net rating ever.
They're good.
Ever. They're on pace for the best season that's ever happened. In
They're
NBA
really
history.
good. Yes, they're really good.
Do it in the playoffs.
Chris Cody, yes, of course. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Hey, OKC, do it in the playoffs, yes or no?
I think I've gotten better on this. I've gone from you can't allow this to go ahead and allow it. But can you get maybe 10%?
No.
No, the answer's no.
He's told you no.
The answer's no.
He's told you no.
The answer's
Deal with it.
no.
Move on.
The answer's no. It's not 90-10.
No.
Charmin soft.
You're not.
Charmin soft.
Fine.
You are not.
You're right.
You are not in a position of leverage to negotiate. You're losing. Your side is losing. Your way is losing.
And you're watching.
And you're watching. And
I love the sport. I love the UFC. When it comes back into town, I might go to the card. I know what I'm supporting. I'm not entirely comfortable with it, but I have my convictions. Look, if they find out I'm actually paying for a ticket, they're like, cool, fine, free country, I assume. But if I want to go as a member of the media, I won't be allowed.
But wait a minute. But no, okay, and neither will I. And when you say you're not welcome there, how do you think that went for me last time I went? How do you imagine that went for me the last time I went?
Celebrated when you walked up and down the stairs?
I saw you. I gave you a handshake, remember?
You were the one.
Yeah.
Who welcomed me
I
there.
felt very comfortable.
I know. I know. I'm aware. I was.
They love me there.
Yes.
I bet Dan was totally normal there.
I don't feel uncomfortable at these events. I know that look, the current president went to my event, and I exercised my right, as did many, to cheer him. I booed, and that's a free country, and I love that I was afforded that as a paying ticket holder. I would like to voice opposition to certain things that I don't like and voice my displeasure as someone that is an invited guest of the media. And we're just not doing that as a country anymore. We're just limiting that.
I would like to acknowledge, as a show, community, America, and the globe, Mike had the best point during this.
I'm on a real here, guys.
Yes.
Back-to-back best points.
Definitely wasn't
to every community, not
Look,
just women.
I think I came out as a free speech absolutist.
Yes, the best point was made by Mike. Because you mentioned DDP, let's play that time that he hung up on us and got really mad at me.
Scotty Steiner, I was just with him up in
Who tried to rip whose eyes out there? Somebody tried to rip somebody's eyes out there.
You can't rip me up, dude. Are you?
Did you try to tear out his eyes, or did he try?
Yo, monkey. Who the hell do you think you're talking to?
He tried to tear out your eyes.
Monkey. Who the hell do you think you're talking to? I'm positively Paige. Do you think I'm going to flame your garbage so you can scream right here? You.
Oh, no.
Jesus.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
I need a democratic decision from
Democrats?
the group
Denied.
on behalf of the audience. Okay, I need a ruling here of some sort, because the soft-talking producer of South Beach Sessions, who came back in here again and argued with me, now the third time during today's show that he has decided to do that, he has suggested to me that a guest or two that would be important to the telling of the story properly of how it is that I was racist in New Orleans, that those guests to properly tell that story will not be available until Tuesday of next week.
What?
Tuesday of next week. They will be
Joe Biden?
those I don't know why this person is so busy, but this person is critical to the story having support, or I could just tell the story now and we could be done with it, because already it's got too much buildup and it's not going to live up to whatever it is you guys expect it to be.
So perhaps I should have said me. I don't know why I said Joe Biden. It's getting a little confused here. I just signed with CAA.
Did I miss something, Dan? Was this something that happened that everybody knows about and I'm in the dark in? Or
you're in the dark.
Okay.
You're
so everybody else knows.
No, we went hard.
You
Right?
might want to be brought into the light because Dan's racist now.
Yeah, we pivoted while you were gone.
What is the ruling? Because for the last 2 days, I will preface the story this way, and just to catch Tony up, if you haven't been listening for the last 2 days, the way that Tony hasn't been listening because he's been working too hard on his top 5 smells in Miami.
New father observations, too.
Right.
You have those still?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Okay.
So excited.
How long is that segment? How much time do you need for new father observation?
Probably 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay.
Just to give me a buffer, and then if we go fast, we go fast. We go slow, we go slow.
All right.
I got one prediction that's in there. Liquidy poop.
Loop.
Is that one?
Maybe.
We'll see.
Wait to see.
All right. They're the new father observations, and they have now been properly teased. The story, Stugotz, is embarrassing to me.
You're telling the story.
I don't know yet if I'm telling the
Okay.
story, but just to get Tony caught up to where it is that we
All right.
are, all I have told the audience, there are two things that I have promised the audience that I did not get to, and I like to keep my promises with the audience. One of them is the source on whether or not Walter Payton ran not wearing socks in the NFL, which sounds really painful and awful.
Feetness.
That is correct. That was, look, Tony, as if he's hearing the joke for the first time. Right.
Now you're caught up, Tone.
Now you're caught up. That's it. Now you're caught up with that story. The second story is I've simply said for 2 days, hey, and it's been a tease, and people thought I'm teasing to keep the listeners just around to see if they hear the story. Time spent listening. It's one of the reasons our sponsors are so good, because we have uncommon listener retaining.
TSL.
That is correct. Yes. And this device of teasing Dan's racist story for 2 days would be a good device to keep people around. I'm not doing that on purpose. We're just trying to find the guests who now are not available until next Tuesday.
That will increase retaining.
Mm-hmm.
Retention is what I meant to say.
Right.
Thank you, Chris. You speak so well. Why don't you find that sound of you reading and see if we play it here in just moments, because you were so good at finding the place where I got caught up in the air. Let's find the most embarrassing clip of you trying to read, and then let's play that in a moment.
Feels like a lash out.
Tony,
I didn't have a Benedict either.
Tony, are you a racist?
Rapers.
Whoa.
Tony, do you feel like you're caught up?
Yeah, outside of the racist story, I feel, which you haven't really told anybody, feels
The
like, I
rapers.
feel like I'm good to go.
All right. So
Feetness is funny.
All right. What's the vote, Jeremy? Now or Tuesday? Now or Tuesday?
Tuesday. If we need to wait for the proper guests to really put a punctuation on this, Tuesday.
We're putting too much pressure on the story. But Mike, now or Tuesday?
Racism is evergreen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not Monday, huh?
Allegedly the guests will be available Tuesday. We'll see if
President's Day on Monday.
Monday's a holiday.
Yeah.
It is?
Holiday weekend.
What's our Monday?
Great American Race on Sunday.
The whites are.
We like the pie.
Who else is voting here? I need a decision on whether to tell the story now. Yes or no? Group?
Well, I mean, I guess we'll have to wait.
I vote we wait.
I vote Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
You're not going to stop being a racist between now and then.
Right.
That'll still smack on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
It's All-Star Weekend. You got plenty of opportunities.
The great American racist.
I want to get to this story with Stugotz and the rest of you. This was a Diana Rossini story, and not surprisingly, this is a bit of a pop culture feeding frenzy type of story, because at this point in his career, Aaron Rodgers is better as a content avatar than he is as a football player who's going to change your football team, unless maybe the Steelers or the 49ers can convince themselves that the next version of Aaron Rodgers will give him more support than whatever is the Jets' dysfunction. But the story that has caught the last couple of days, and this part, it's just funny to watch an organization that for 40 years has been so desperate for good quarterback play that Mark Sanchez resembles a shining light at the top of their organizational structure because he got to a couple of playoff games. And so, not surprisingly, that desperate franchise handed over to a quarterback who was a little bit brain fried and arm fried, handed over to him a kind of power that doesn't have a lot of precedent in the sport for any position, where Aaron Rodgers was basically doing what he wanted to do, calling his own shots, and furthermore, doing the things that quarterbacks are never supposed to do, which is bring attention to distractions from outside the huddle because you're doing a weekly hit on national television. You're doing a weekly Pat McAfee hit, and you're not talking about quarterbacking all the time. You're talking about Aaron Rodgers Enigma, documentary, Aaron Rodgers, brand of Aaron Rodgers. And so the report from Diana Rossini is that the Jets told Aaron Rodgers no outside media, including McAfee, and that attendance was mandatory at mandatory practices, which is something he missed some last year and just took the fine. And in doing so, they realized they couldn't work together anymore. That if Aaron Rodgers didn't have the same power to do whatever he wanted, and the coach dared to come in and say, hey, you can't make this TV appearance, and you got to be at mandatory practices, that was too much for Aaron Rodgers, and now the relationship is over.
They did things and asked Aaron Rodgers to do things they knew Aaron Rodgers was not willing to do. He was never going to accept those terms, not from that organization. And so you have a new head coach at Aaron Glenn who's saying, hey, I don't care if you're Aaron Rodgers, and he has to do this, Dan, right? I don't care if you're Aaron Rodgers. You're going to do it my way or you're getting out of here. And I don't mind that Aaron Glenn did it. I don't. He has to. He has to save face because a lot of the criticism was exactly what you just spoke about over the last 2 years. Aaron was doing whatever Aaron wanted to do, and Aaron Glenn is simply saying, not anymore. You're not doing it anymore. And I understand that. I do.
It's funny that you understand that, though, but when Pat Riley does it to Jimmy Butler, then we don't understand it. Or like, yes, of course, you like understand right up until the player gets so much power that he actually becomes a problem, but you understand that the entire system, right, all of it, is made to weigh heavy on the athlete not actually having that much power, right? Because the organization showing Aaron Rodgers who's boss now is something that you're like, yeah, but when you could get Aaron Rodgers, you would have given him anything to get Aaron Rodgers.
Of course, but that was a different time, Dan. He was coming off 2 MVP years. I mean, 2 out of the last 3 seasons, he was the MVP of the league and coming to a team in a market that was starving for a quarterback and desperate.
The thing that I find most interesting about the conflict at the height of this particular power is which is actually more valuable at this point? Whatever Aaron Rodgers can actually give you, or Aaron Glenn's in charge now, new sheriff in town. What's actually more valuable?
I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah.
I am, because I saw the old sheriff. The old sheriff was Aaron Rodgers, and it didn't go anywhere. It was
He did nothing. Right.
It was not like it got off to a bad start, unfortunate start, hurt his Achilles. Then he only got a year older, got off to a real bad start at the part of the season where it couldn't. And, yeah, maybe he made the season look better by spamming his best friend footballs towards the end, who may not even want to be there either. It was a disaster on all accounts. And what the franchise was asking is like, all right, it's not working out the way that we wanted. Can you at least give us a break on the PR front? Now, it's Aaron Rodgers' prerogative. I don't like that ask came in, but I understand why it came in. It's certainly part of the equation when you're dealing with Aaron Rodgers is this guy worth this headache? And his play very clearly in his time in that uniform was not.
I don't know whether you guys find the business of this part of it interesting, but Aaron Rodgers being in business with Pat McAfee on ESPN for what is reported to be $1 million with all of these guys, Belichick and everyone else, because McAfee cut a production deal that allows him to just slice off a bunch of money for people that he cares about and wants to make content with. And Aaron Rodgers wants to keep both that relationship and that platform available because it's worth not just the
it's a valuable platform.
But it's not.
Don't you think it's been a worthwhile investment? Like to
for,
break the
for
model.
everybody.
For Pat and for Aaron.
Yeah, that breaks the model for
Yes.
ESPN. ESPN prior to Pat being aboard didn't pay guests, as far as I knew. Like certain things were worked out in the contracts if a sponsor came aboard, but like a flat fee for that's a whole new business model, and it certainly worked out. It worked out for everybody outside of Aaron, maybe. In terms of optics.
It worked for Aaron. It worked fine for Aaron.
Yeah, he's getting paid $1 million, but don't you think like the public perception, the endorsements, don't you think all that stuff took a hit?
But you're just doing it money. You're just doing it money. He doesn't need money at this point. That's not about like I'm saying the $1 million because
he's very charitable. Like the money could help him like do some good work.
But at this point, where do you think the thing has more value? Hey, Aaron, we'll give you $1 million. Here's a weekly platform where you could just say whatever you want, Aaron, and everyone will be listening to your thoughts.
And no one will challenge.
And you'll just be there and you will talk. I think that has more value to Aaron, so much value that he's confident enough at his age if he still wants to play. Okay, Jets. Not interested in your deal. I'll go to the Steelers or 49ers, and I'll still keep doing the McAfee show.
Can I ask you guys a question? Like, because I feel a certain way about it, but I'm genuinely curious. I don't know the answer. I assume we're working at the time that Aaron usually does his hits. So we consume Aaron's hits by social media clips and the aggregation. By the tail end of last season, how much value was there in having the starting quarterback of the New York Jets? And I understand he's a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen personally, one of my favorite quarterbacks. I do find him interesting. I do. I read an entire book with my ears about the man. But how much value does that have, really?
For whom?
For anybody, because like
I'm saying
who's tuning
for
in to hear
Aaron.
like
No,
like this season's embarrassing. Like I kind of felt bad for him towards the end of that. Like we're still gonna trot him out.
Yeah, but Mike, you have a legend who's willing to talk about that on your show on a weekly basis. He's coming towards the end of his career.
So
like,
you
to me,
think
that's-
I was just
yeah,
curious? I
yeah.
wasn't opining. I
think there's value there.
I
yes,
just read a
right.
book on him.
I'm famous is more important than good. Attention is more important than not having attention. And you guys keep talking about currency as if it's money. He wants to be current. He wants to be heard. He just made a documentary. He's got a weekly platform on Disney where no one can control what him and his friend are doing. And they're doing it on the most mainstream of mainstream platforms. And it looks like a giant bleep you to whoever the culture is that objects to whatever he might have to say about anything, because he gets to do it without objection while he's doing it, and allows him to troll and just feed off of whatever the reaction is, because it's at least in part meant to incite a reaction.
But is that going to be the only value?
To him.
Okay, but to like the audience, to everybody, like who's going to keep consuming? I don't know what's happened to the numbers if people's interest waned on it. Let's say he's out of the league entirely. Let's say he chooses to retire. Does he go back and the whole thing is a dude taking exception to a media that is not actually
Mike,
talking about him as much?
I don't actually believe that you're totally understanding what the value of this is in the modern age. Famous, polarizing person. What's he going to say? Do I need to tune in? The entire Pat McAfee model is built like after it got to great success off the further success of Aaron Rodgers kept showing up only there.
But Dan, what Mike is asking is how long will that be able to sustain its value?
No, but this
I
is,
think it's been. Let me be clear. I think it's been great for ESPN
Yes.
when he's a newsmaker. That's cool. I think it's been great for Pat McAfee. I don't think it's been good for Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, and we can argue this, but if Aaron Rodgers gets to answer that, not you. And Aaron Rodgers, if he's willing to leave the Jets in order to continue doing that because he believes it's that valuable to him, I don't think any of us here are really qualified to speak to what it is that Aaron Rodgers actually values.
It clearly has value. He continues to do it.
Did you read a book with your ears?
I did not read a book with my ears.
By the way, you have Tomlin saying it's okay to do that show still? Like,
Also, like this is something that Rossini said. And even if Aaron Rodgers agreed, the New York Jets might have still settled on we're getting away from this guy. I actually think that this has been amplified in the social space because it's awfully convenient. Well, it wasn't my play. It was because I was going on Pat. That had to be it. No, it was your play and that was a piece of it, and they were looking at the totality of the picture.
I find it to be a pretty interesting thing from a lot of different perspectives, given that, and I know we get forgetful, okay? So the punctuation is going to be, look at the mess he made at the end. But the dude's legacy is that at the position, top 5 all time, and you can argue about however it is that you want to argue about that. And most of those years spent as an icon who somehow replaced Brett Favre, was considered better than Brett Favre, improved the position beyond Brett Favre by eliminating the turnovers, and an icon for all time in a sport where when I'm in New Orleans and Joe Montana walks through the restaurant, I see what still happens all these years later because everybody turns around because Aaron Rodgers didn't win like that, but Aaron Rodgers in terms of greatness is just as great as that guy was.
Plus, he's interesting. Mike, we know this. We had him on all the time. He's an interesting guy, and I think that interest and him being kind of interested and piquing people's curiosity will last well beyond his playing years. Like, I think people are just fascinated with
Yes,
the guy.
I'm fascinated too. Is like what happened here now is like my fascination. Like where did this go sideways? Part of it is we got to know him better as this change in his life happened, where his relationship with his family broke down a little bit. And he started showing us more of himself. But I think it's pretty irrefutable that this hasn't been good for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, just look at the sponsorship dollars. Like, all his legacy sponsors kind of moved on for the most part.
Okay, and I will leave it alone after this, Mike. I understand that you make all the best points in all of the best discussions.
Thank you.
But for you to think that you know what's good for Aaron Rodgers better than what Aaron Rodgers thinks is good for Aaron Rodgers is an arrogance previously unseen from you.
I think his entire public persona has been built on him knowing better than other people. So I'm not going to try to buck my head against that, but we are legion when it's not just me that thinks I know better than Aaron Rodgers on certain things.
Understood that he
responds in kind. Not kind.
He understands that the majority seem to be against him, and you guys are all wrong. because when it comes to arrogance, you can look in a mirror and see a certain kind of arrogance. And when Aaron Rodgers looks in a mirror, it's an even greater arrogance than yours because he's accomplished slightly more than you have.
And let's not forget that he has a
best-selling book. He didn't make a musical.
I mean, in my field, I'm
debatable.
Yeah.
You think
In my
you're the
field, like-
you think you're the Aaron Rodgers of your field?
of executive producing.
Huh.
I'm like top 5.
Wow.
Look at this.
I'd give
I'm
him top 5.
I think I'm speaking goat to goat here.
Yeah, him, Paul Pabst.
and I'm Zach Wilson.
Who are the top 5 executive producers all
Gay
time
Stu.
that you're putting your in
Chris
your,
Carlin. I mean,
Yeah, I'll give Paul Pabst his flowers.
Yeah. Hembo.
Hembo.
He's terrible.
Yeah.
You think
He's a
you're
good kid. I love him. I know what
Terrible.
No, he's a
I
great
love
guy.
Hembo. I'm a mentor to Hembo. He's a good kid.
think I'm
Okay.
up there.
He's a
How
good
old
kid.
is Hembo?
I have no idea.
He's
29,
not-
30.
Is he
I
a
mean,
kid?
I think I'm up there.
He hides behind the numbers.
Well, you put yourself in the top 5.
Yeah, I think I'm up there.
Mike's a top 5.
I mean, just look, just tenure.
Yeah. I would say Hawk's a top 5er.
Mike's got 20.
Yeah,
Baba
Mike's
Booey.
a top
You
5er.
believe we've had 2 of the top executive producers of all time?
I
in this
am
Yeah,
so
I'm
industry?
leaving Andy King out, but I mean,
This show is such a creative sandbox that it's allowed me to flex some muscle. Like there are probably way talented producers out there that haven't had the same kind of sandbox because sports radio's evolved. I would say that I helped evolve it.
Travis Rogers.
Thank you
Mention
to
Andy.
Andy King. Yes, good timing.
I also like
between
the
you
20
and
car.
Stugotz. You're
Yeah.
staring right at each
You got
other.
to get Trav in, though.
Christopher Bell.
The idea, and I will leave it alone after this, I promise, that Mike Ryan believes this doesn't have value to Aaron Rodgers as a platform where he gets to espouse for however long he gets to espouse it, 30 minutes uninterrupted on whatever he wants to talk about. Like, my guess is he would take that in lieu of salary next year.
I don't doubt that. I know that he loves that.
He does.
He very clearly does love it, and it's very clearly important to him. That's never been my whole thing. Is has the value? Like he has a value to it. He's assigned it, and that's what's most important. Clearly, I'm saying, has it been? I'm just positing. Has it been a net negative for Aaron Rodgers? And if I were to pick one, I'd say it's been a net negative.
and
for
you'd
him.
probably be right. But then if you're entertaining the business,
Thank you. That's how we finally got down to it.
If
Thank
you're
you.
entertaining the business
5 minutes ago, I wish you said that.
proposition,
Yeah.
okay. But the business proposition of this, where Stugotz is asking, does this have attention value next year? The answer might be no. The other answer is it doesn't matter because McAfee and Aaron Rodgers can do whatever they want with that time and money, and nobody else gets to decide. Disney doesn't get to tell McAfee. Nobody gets to decide but McAfee and Rodgers. And that's where it becomes interesting to me because Disney is running a business, and eventually that has to show numbers. But not right now, it doesn't.
Disney did get to decide once, as covered in his best-selling booth.
Thank you. I appreciate all of your help there.
He's a top.
The Jimmy Kimmel thing did ruffle feathers.
He's a top 5er, Dan.
And ruffling feathers is not the same as you have the power to fire anybody because ruffling feathers you can do plenty
They
of.
did force him to go on and apologize, and Aaron did what he. I mean, he may say, "I clarified. I didn't really apologize," and he did like if you were offended, but like they did make that happen.
Yeah, and
according
Mike
to the best-selling
Mike
booth.
Schur said that after he did some of the stuff that he did, that he'd never work at Disney again, and he spent the whole season there doing whatever it is that he wanted with Pat McAfee after that apology. Like after Mike Schur is telling you that will never work on Disney again.
You say whatever he wanted. Did he take any other shots at Jimmy Kimmel? Did he take any other shots at ESPN personalities? Like he was subtweeting, like maybe SportsCenter anchors, but I would say that put a governor in place. It would, and maybe he wanted to take some more shots and he couldn't because it was probably a world-class producer that got in everybody's ear that said, we can't do that.
I can't believe that today we have had David Samson say that he belongs in the Hall of Fame and is better than Darren Ravel, and Mike Ryan just put himself at the top of the Mount Rushmore of executive producers.
Put on top. But I'm top 5.
Right.
Right, you guys.
You're supposed to let others do that for you, though.
I mean, no one's actually putting together this top 5 because it's not that important to people. But I mean, come on, right? Sports
going right
podcast
now.
producers, sports radio producers, I'm up there.
Stugotz,
Hank.
I wanted to ask
up there.
you something, Stugotz, as I see that the Boston Celtics are, again, over the course of this season, They are, beating up Cleveland when they go to Cleveland and beating up New York when they go to New York. And they've been uneven because I don't imagine that they're interested in all of the regular season games. But I wanted to at the trade deadline because it happened loud and fast, and a lot of things got lost in the last week when the Super Bowl is so big that, Deebo Samuel asking for a trade gets lost in the headlines. And there's so many trades.
Wait, what?
There are so many trades in basketball that I'm guessing something I'm about to say has largely gone under the radar with people who don't care about basketball too much. Marcus Smart was the defensive player of the year, and at one time with green hair, viewed as sort of the soul for why it is that Boston was good.
He was the glue, Dan.
Yeah, but the glue we are turning out to see in retrospect. Whoa, glue's not quite as valuable as we thought it was as glue. Because he leaves. Well, no, but do you know where Marcus Smart is right now?
No idea.
Okay, so
I'll guess.
No, you can. You can.
Memphis? I don't know.
He was.
Really?
Used to be.
Wow. Cup of coffee?
A couple years.
All right.
I saw a picture that I believe was the saddest I saw in sports last week, which was and I was sad because the two people involved had to wear this uniform. Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart wearing Wizards jerseys and seeing the meme go around, who beats this duo? And seeing what happened in general to Marcus Smart's soul. Like, you wore the green hair and you were the centerpiece of rah-rah, we're gritty Celtics basketball. And now as soon as they get rid of you, you're not the wizard we thought you were. You're just a wizard. And
now Derek White is you.
And that's got to all feel bad, right? Like, and I don't know whether Derek White is you or Drew Holiday is you, but whatever it is that you were supposed to represent, I got to think it feels really shitty to be Marcus Smart. Like, as shitty as it can feel for a basketball player to be like, I had green hair and Boston loved me and I was tough and I rebelled and I was the personality and I was a star and now I play for the Wizards. And nobody cares. And Stugotz, I'll ask him again next week, and he'll forget. Like, he doesn't have any idea where Marcus Smart is.
He is making $16.6 million this year.
Who is stopping that duo? The tax apron? Planar phasias?
Did you not feel bad for Chris Middleton? Like, that was a champion.
He was a great player. He's a great player.
But he's still,
he could have been Finals MVP.
This is how their careers go. He's been dealing with injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a Bucks legend, no doubt. Heat killer.
Yeah.
When that guy had the ball, I was always terrified.
Stugotz,
Shot maker.
I know.
Is he a Bucks legend, though?
No doubt.
Sidney Moncrief.
No doubt. He won a championship, dude.
Moncrief. I don't know when Stugotz is ever going to get tired of just the lazy. Danny makes $16 million.
Well, he does. He plays basketball for a living. Sign me up. I'll play for the Wizards.
The answer's never. He's never going to get tired of that note. It's hard to hit. It's his pay the teachers, pay the whales, pay the schools.
Pay the Wizards.
Yeah, it's his.
They're getting paid.
Stugotz has this lazy reflex of, how I connect to the audience? I'm just going to say, somebody make a lot of money, Dan.
You want me to feel bad for a guy who was in Boston, played with the same players that Derek White is playing with, played with the same players that Drew Holiday. He couldn't get it done, and now he's in Washington. But you know what? $16.6 million.
I don't actually want you to feel bad for him. I just want to laugh at the idea that you think grit is valuable. I want to laugh at the idea of Marcus Smart is the reason people win. And last trade piece, get Marcus Smart at the deadline. You'll change your future because he'll play defense. He'll take a couple of charges. We'll gift him a Defensive Player of the Year award because we love grit so much.
Do you think those Bulls teams win 6 championships without Horace Grant and Dennis Rodman?
Yes. Anybody?
So do I.
Anybody? Yes. Anybody next to Pippen and anybody next to Pippen and Jordan would have become a Horace Grant and Dennis Dennis
They
Rodman.
literally won different three-peats without
Yes.
Horace Grant or
Yes.
Dennis Rodman.
Way to go, Stugotz. One of your
I mean,
points.
I answered my own question. I
Blew
know
up,
it.
blew
In the
up right
question
in your
was the
face.
answer.
Yes. Yes. Every single person who was the third player on those teams would have become those guys.
You think they win without John Paxson or B.J. Armstrong?
Yes.
The Marcus Smart arc is really crazy, though, because he was so beloved in Boston, right? He makes 2 first-team all-defensive teams. Then he signs a 4-year, $77 million extension in, I think it was August of 2021. He goes on to win Defensive Player of the Year the following year for the 2021-22 season. The contract extension kicks in. He plays a year for Boston, then gets traded for Kristaps Porzingis. Boston goes on to win a championship without him, and then he gets shipped from Memphis to Washington now. That is heartbreaking.
Marcus Smart.
Excellent work, Chris Cody. That's why you're always the voice and glue that you are, the Marcus Smart of our proceedings.
Top 35.
Not making $16.6 million though.
So I just want everyone to see what Stugotz was arguing there when, hey, Dan, if I give you 2 of the top 50 basketball players of all time, will the third also be good? Yeah.
The Bulls are the example for you, Dan.
Yes.
They did it with 2 separate teams, like interchangeable pieces. It was Purdue, then it was Wennington, it was Paxson, then it was B.J. Armstrong.
No. Please.
That's what I was trying to tell you.
Please, wait. Jeremy, please give me the centers of all of those teams. Just a parade.
Cartwright.
A river of stiffs. Just a river of balsa wood. Luke, are you kidding me? With the
Bison
center.
Dele was a revelation.
No, Bison Daly made them 72 and 10.
I know he was a revelation.
An athlete.
No. When they got rid of Luke Longley
Purdue.
and Bill Wennington, and no, wait a minute, who was the big?
Corey Blunt was like a stretch 4.
Yeah.
In that he was stretchy.
Yeah.
They didn't have stretch 4s back then.
He wasn't good.
Who was the giant? It wasn't Purdue. There was another giant white guy. There was another one.
Wennington, Purdue.
Longley.
Was it Wennington? Did Wennington win a championship?
The guy with the goatee
They
that
all
went down to
did.
his neck.
Wennington won a
That was
championship.
Wennington.
Yes.
I don't want any smoke with a dude that has a goatee, like a 90s goatee that goes down to his Adam's apple. Like, that dude will kill you.
Again,
and probably win the Great American Race on Sunday.
Tony, do me a favor, okay? Because when he says Bison Daly was a revelation.
What a player.
What was his real name?
Brian Williams.
Brian Williams.
No longer with us.
No, that is a tragic story. Killed, I believe, allegedly by his brother. You have to look at how overwhelming that team became when they got Bison Daly. Because I'm pretty sure that's the 72 and 10 team, and I couldn't believe how unstoppable Bison Daly was because he played with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, where I'm watching him, I'm like, I knew that was a good player, but now there is nothing that can stop that human being because I don't understand the intricacies of basketball enough to understand just how much pressure Pippen and Jordan are putting on an offense so that everything is just put back dunks.
Oh, I know this guy.
Yeah.
I saw a documentary on his life and tragic passing. TNT did like a whole
It's a short documentary,
Yes.
and yes, and the mystery about how it is, he was lost at sea for a while, and then they found out he wasn't lost at sea, that there was an accident with his brother that may or may not have been an accident.
Bison Daly was added for the final 9 games of the regular season of the 1996-97 season. In the playoffs, he had 5 double-digit scoring games, 1 double-double.
And they were also pretty good before he got there.
Yeah.
97 Bulls.
We left out
Robert Parrish.
We left out Scott Williams and Robert Parrish. That's right, the Chief.
It's just a parade of balsa wood, like a river of balsa, 7-foot balsa wood. So many knee braces.
He won so many undeserving basketball players' rings.
Look, this is what I'm telling you. Those 72 and 10 Bulls would have won the championship with that fat guy at your Y at center.
What a special era in backup big men.
They did.
It's just like Chris Dudley putting his chin into your chest.
Just 7-footers that you could have put a concrete slab in the paint.
All a liability from the line.
But they could all hit a baseline, Jay.
All of them. a little free elbow jumper.
That
was Longley's special.
It took them 6 seconds to get rid of the ball. Long release.
But they had all 6 seconds because as they're shooting the ball, Pippen and Jordan are still double teamed.
Chris Dudley's chest hair.
Please put Chris Dudley on the screen right now.
Oh, he's great.
Please find Chris Dudley so that I can show the audience exactly what it is that, again, this was Stugotz's chief point. Do I think that anybody would have been Horace Grant next to Pippen and Jordan?
They had 15 of them.
Yeah, but the answer to the question is yes. I do think anybody would have been those people. And it is a direct answer to your question. There he is. Dominating the NBA.
What a time.
From the center position. You know what all those guys were? 6 fouls.
Let's get Bill Wennington's neck beard up there, too, while we're at it.
I mean, Dudley went to Yale.
He didn't get dunked on by Shaq, and then
You're right.
he threw the basketball
You're
at him.
right, yes.
Oh, that's good video. Oh, wait a minute. Guys,
great.
please get that video. Thank you, Roy.
You're welcome.
Chris Dudley's signature play in his NBA career. This is, now keep in mind, Chris Dudley had a career that paid him. I'm going to guess Chris Dudley made millions of dollars for just being 6 fouled. But please get me the video of Shaq dunking on Chris Dudley and purposely trying to hit Chris Dudley in the neck with his nuts. And Dudley all just, backed away, got stuck in Shaq's ass crack, and then from...
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Dudley.
An enraged Chris Dudley.
Was this the same game that Chris Childs fought Kobe in? Remember that fight? That was
No, that couldn't have been in the same game.
They only played each other. Look at Kurt Rambis had one of those filthy goatees.
Is that not the dunk that is Shaq's statue? The one on Chris Dudley's neck? Is Shaq's? Play that again, please, so that I can see from the beginning all of the nasty here on Chris Dudley's just being backed up because you can't do anything because it's too strong and he's in good defensive position. And then here you go. Here's some of this. And then I'm pretty
It is Shaq's signature dunk.
He threw a ball at him.
Little hose on Dudley there.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Chooch.
Okay. I am going to spend the last 4 minutes of what we're doing here analyzing this video with you guys.
It's great.
$32.5 million career earnings for Dudley.
Please go back again to the beginning of this because, and I want you to freeze it for me, okay? In honor of telestrated Hubie Brown now retiring. I want you to
Rothstein, freeze it.
Not stop. Okay,
Roll it.
Hold it right there.
Right there.
Just stay for a second.
Right there.
The part that I want you guys to enjoy is as Shaq ends up on the rim and his legs are coming very close to being on Chris Dudley's shoulders. I want, and please don't move it again, or I'm going to have to fight someone in the video room. You just did again?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to go fight somebody in the video room.
Right. Don't move it.
I want all of us to enjoy together the last little pelvic thrust of Shaquille O'Neal that makes Chris Dudley fly into the stands because of the sensuality around Shaq's nether region. Just the hip thrust of a little extra, I'm going to knock you out of bounds with my penis.
Chris Childs fought Kobe the following trip.
You're right. Yes.
To LA.
Yeah.
So this is back-to-back years. Always eventful when the Knicks came to LA.
Now, I've done something unfair to Chris Dudley because it's not actually his penis. Shaq just pushes him.
If you see
with an elbow, yes.
If you see Dudley,
his hammer's on him.
Dudley with his right arm, almost as if he's gonna. You know what? I'm gonna carry Shaq.
No,
I'm gonna lift Shaq up.
There is certainly dick to chest.
There's definite hockey
There
stick.
is, yes.
Yeah.
But the elbow got him.
But the visual for all time of I knocked you into the stands with my penis.
Chris Dudley wraps his arms around them.
He gives Shaq a little "How's your uncle?"
No, there wasn't a how's your
I'm
uncle.
telling you, look at his right hand here.
There was not
Roll
a
that
how's
again.
your uncle.
There is absolutely a hey, how's your uncle?
No,
Yeah.
let's see it again. There's not a how's your uncle here anywhere to be found. That's not true. What you guys are saying is false.
Can you believe that this used to be the highest definition available to us to watch things? I never remembered the picture being that bad. I was just on a square TV. I'm like, this slaps. This is great. This is it. Look at these graphics. Is what I would say on my N64. Wow. Nothing could get better than this.
Watch Dudley's right arm. I'm telling you, there's a little something. Little hup.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
A little hello.
Yeah.
There was not a how's your uncle.
Well,
there.
wait, look.
Wait.
Number one blocks his
Stop.
shot.
Freeze it. Where's that right hand? Where's the right hand right now?
Hey,
Go for a
how
double leg
is
takedown.
your uncle?
So you guys are claiming that Shaq pushed Dudley because there was a how's your uncle.
I imagine in this
Yes.
video, Shaq went, whoop.
All right, and now if we continue rolling this, and forgive me to the audio,
Fine, thank you.
It's the exact sound you make.
forgive. What's the sound?
The-
What's the sound you make? What's
Was
the
that
sound?
Pillsbury Doughboy.
No, was that happening to Chris Berman the whole time?
What Stugotz? What? That's
Yeah.
how's your uncle? That's the sound you make.
Yes. When someone, yes, shakes your uncle's hand. Yes. You know what I'm saying.
I don't think you know what the uncle is.
I do.
Rapers.
Whoa.
I saw that buzz.
The thing that I want to accentuate from the video for the audio audience is, after everything we've described, the amount of time it takes Chris Dudley and his athleticism to get up and off the floor, make it so that he's throwing a basketball at a Shaquille O'Neal who is at half court because it's his back and he has already done the hip thrust and pushed it into the stands. And so while Chris Dudley, infuriated, threw a basketball a long way, Shaq was much further away from him
Shaq,
than
It's
that.
all Dudley has in that
Shaq
spot.
famous for his hustle back down the court, too.
I thought there was a lot of good stuff in today's show. Roy is rarely going to have a mispronunciation that's going to help us more than that one. Juju, thank you for being here today. We'll get to the polls with Juju. People are very happy that the polls are back and the updates on the polls are back. But let's start with whatever it is today in the subject matter that sent your way on all the stuff that we were talking about in sports. I would imagine Jalen Hurts was a topic that will catch fire somewhere where they aggregate Stugotz stuff. What did you make of the Jalen Hurts talk?
Yeah, Stugotz said people aren't giving Jalen Hurts credit, and I think that you're just watching the wrong TV shows because the shows I watch, they're giving them tons of credit. So I think that it's time to, you know what I mean, maybe give some new shows a try, Stugotz. You know, it's
Okay.
Greeny. We love Greeny, but you know, it's just a lot of new and up and comers out there who are giving Jalen Hurts a lot of credit.
All right, I am unaware of this, and perhaps it's a blind spot by me. Give me some shows I need to start watching, Juju.
Shoot. I mean, this show, but how about we just start off by giving him credit and then we can just watch it back later
All right.
on. You did me?
That's
'Cause
what,
I'm not gonna give nobody
Juju, that's what I'm
no
trying to
free
do. I
promotions.
just don't feel like enough people are. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
Well, but he's
Yeah,
saying, Juju's saying that we could do better.
All right, well, I did. I mean, what are you doing? Huh?
I'm only discrediting him at every turn. It's my fault. The problem is right in the mirror.
I mean, he's clearly not like Trent Dilfer. Like, he's not in that conversation. Yes, he's not. He might not be Patrick Mahomes. Can't we just agree? He's fine. He's good enough for this team.
He's
like,
really,
why,
really good.
Why does
He's
it have
better
to
than
be?
fine. No, that's the problem, is that he's fine, that the defense won him a title, that the offensive line won him a title. No, Jalen Hurts won the Eagles a title.
No,
man.
I'm arguing on his behalf. Like, yes, he's not Mahomes, but he's not even close to like in that conversation of was he carried
You
there
need to
by
say
a
better
team.
than fine, though. Fine gives you a connotation of like, he's okay. Jalen Hurts
How about
is
solid?
very, very good.
Solid.
Solid.
No,
better
solid's
than
still not
fine?
good enough.
Solid's not good enough
right?
either.
Solid's not good
Solid's
Very,
not
very
good
good.
enough
Elite.
either.
He's elite.
See, now you're crazy.
No, that's
Thank
Well,
you.
well,
Thank you.
too much.
I do need to redo my Tony's QB tiers post-season. Now we did a preseason. Now we're doing postseason.
Wow.
Jalen Hurts maybe climb up the ranks.
I do think, though, that one of the things that's happening here is that the analysis of the quarterback position has gotten so carried away that there are many people who would say, well, you know what he is? He's Brock Purdy or some form of Brock Purdy because he's got help, because you're giving so much credit to the help that he has.
No, but the help he had 2 years ago when they almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs was Miles Sanders. I mean, that was the help, who went to Carolina and is nothing now.
Okay, I don't know how much better you guys are going to make Jalen Hurts than Brock Purdy, but I don't mean that as an insult of Brock Purdy. He had MVP-like numbers for a while. Like, there are a lot of places where we're willing to not give credit to the quarterback because how much credit we're giving to systems and complementary players these days.
Solid, not enough. Elite, probably too much. How about a Kirkshin? Really good. Do we like that?
You let me do that, thank you.
Better.
Is Purdy really good? Is Purdy really good?
Purdy's good enough.
Everyone stop doing fake Kirkshins.
enough
That is
is
my
different.
lane.
Yeah.
All right? I'm getting really mad.
Oh, God, that is good.
Also, Jalen Hurts was clearly hung over at Disney World. You feel me? Like going to Disney World right after you win the Super Bowl, it might be a bit challenging. And I challenged the reporter to ask better questions from a guy who's hung over after the Super Bowl. You feel me?
I didn't criticize Hurts for that. I just found it hilarious because I got this like eager social media person and they're like, oh, I got my 10 seconds with him. All right, I'm going to interview him. And he just like, I don't know, nothing. You know?
Never seen someone who looks more like they just need to go to sleep 12 hours ago.
Juju, thank you for making that point. It somehow eluded us as a show to make that point. That's exactly what happened there. That guy has not slept, has been partying, and the last thing he needs to do is think. Like, give me questions that don't require me to think.
Right.
It would have been better if he had just said, Jalen, can you just say all the cliches you usually do? Can you just say how important it is to be a part of a team? Like, don't make him think. The man is tired.
Thank you to the offensive line.
I mean, the question was how many unread texts. It's not like a deep, like, about
The guys
the Middle
up,
East.
Tony, it's the guys up front.
The big boys up front.
Don't make him think at all. Don't make him do any math, anything.
Shout out to BG.
Right. Shout out to Tony for being back. Welcome back, brother. Like,
Thank you, brother.
Bro. You've been kicking ass with Lewis and the MMA Hangout. Bro, the numbers are going skyrocket. You dig it? So glad y'all got a chance to highlight my boy today. You dig?
Thank you, Tony. Are you going to get before the end of the week to your top 10 new dad observations?
Well, it's new father observations in the style of weekend observations, which we do tomorrow.
It's not a top 10. It's just 10 minutes long.
Like your racism, that also evergreen.
Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you.
And the socks.
What else
Happy
was...
Black.
Happy Black
Happy
History.
Black History Month. Yeah, and speaking of that, major salute award today for Jeremy Taché for when you got into the plantation talk. He said it's a town in Florida. You dig me? And we needed that out there, Jeremy. Thank you, sir. Hats off.
Thank you, Juju.
Important context. Yes, Chris Cody and his father, Greg Cody, they live in plantation, not on a plantation.
As do I.
Yeah, Jeremy lives there.
In plantation.
Allyship. Ooh, oh no.
Do think we need to change the name of plantation.
I just want everyone to know that I live in Davie.
I am getting a petition going, Dan.
And I live in West Palm Beach.
I said to myself, I am getting out of this city.
What else? And it was a moral
That's an
decision.
ally.
It was a moral decision. Ladies and gentlemen, an ally. Yes,
Thank you, Chris.
Davie's a strange place,
yes,
man.
it really is.
It's actually worse than plantation.
Yes,
somehow.
it is somehow.
Way worse.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
I have no idea what it is.
Where the roundup is.
The people in Davie are trying to get away from all those progressives in plantation.
Nothing wrong with the name to me.
Wow! Wow! And the first ever black Blagaki!
Oh man! Yesterday, yesterday Mike said that if the Mavericks could go back in time, they probably would change up the way they did things with Luka. I like to also present that Dan Hurley, wow, if he could go back in time and get a time machine and accept that Lakers gig instead of being high and mighty back in UConn,
He'd have Luka.
he wouldn't be have to hurl insults at people after the game. He went on a rant yesterday. He was mad. He was saying 2 rings after the game. I'm like, oh man, this is getting bad.
His arrogance is unusual
This
for a
year in
college
particular.
coach, man. Like he is feeling himself.
Well, he's
man.
won back-to-back titles.
I know, but it's rare to have a guy this
Some humble pie.
showy. I like it.
Yeah, also 2 minutes whenever David Samson comes back down to Miami for snitching and reading Chris's private text messages live on air.
Inaccurately, too.
Poor
Like,
taste.
He didn't even read what I wrote.
How did the Samson segment go over, Juju? When it was on, I was like, man, this is really good. This conversation is really good.
Yeah, it was real good. I mean, I don't know if him and Darren Ravel have a beef or whatever, but I think the overall is good that he, holds himself at such high regard and thinks he is the businessman of the year. You feel me? We supposed to all think that, but if it's true or not, that's neither here nor there. The chat had a lot of opinions about that.
It's not true. It's not true, and it is both here and there. It's not. It is true here and there that Darren Ravel is more famous as a business person than David Samson, and over there as well, and over there also.
Salute to the chat as well. Becca Boo, Adam Jameson, Brusco, Chris, David from Toronto, all the people who just support us every day, man. Salute to y'all, man. Hats off. I'm going to get to the first poll now.
So wait a minute. So just random shout-outs. They didn't say anything interesting. They didn't give us anything interesting. It's just Juju spreading love for people who are loyal and support.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they say a lot during the, like some people show up to the chat before we even start, and then they're there at the end of the chat whenever we're gone black screen. And I think that support, you know what I mean, deserves a shout out, bro. It's like the middle of the morning, they at work or whatever they're doing, they still giving us a piece of their day. So much love to you guys.
David from Toronto is like an A1 listener. He's been with us since like the Lauer After Hours days.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Salute the Lauer Rangers. Go. You dig it.
I think it's P1.
First poll.
A1? That's a sauce.
P1,
A1's
yeah,
a sauce.
A1 is a sauce. That's steak sauce. Yeah, steak sauce also an A1. That's right.
Do you value pennies? 79% of the audience says no, they do not value pennies.
There it is.
23% are liars.
Should be A1.
Right.
From our hour called Where Donald Trump Was Right.
Oh.
Nice.
A nickel also 14 cents to make a nickel. That can't be
shocking.
What are we doing there?
We need to get rid of the nickel now too.
What's going on there?
Big poll. Do you know what cocaine smells like?
Oh, yeah.
64% of the audience says no, they do not.
Huh.
Neither do I.
Same.
I had a lot of people here. I know you guys feel like we got stuck in the mud on that, but I really don't know what cocaine smells like. And if I'm being honest, I assumed it didn't have any kind of scent at all. I assumed.
The good cocaine, yeah. From what I've been told.
Yes, from what you've learned from sources.
Yeah.
Yes.
The bad cocaine, though, urine.
Urine, yes.
And a bad smell puts you in a good place. 68% of the audience says no, it can't. Dang.
The Orange Bowl. The Orange Bowl.
Damn, but you can close your eyes right now and think of the Orange Bowl and the smell, and it's going to put you in a good place.
Well, it's not. It's going to put me in a good place in terms of childhood memories, but what it's also going to put me at is those ridiculous stadium troughs of urination that are just these fountains of like just 100 men around a circle because it's an old
good times.
It's not the most
the
hygienic
backsplash
thing.
is hitting you and you're like, whoa.
It's not good.
That guy's pushing a little too hard over
well,
there.
but you know what I'm talking about. This trough, the urine trough.
Yes.
At the center of nothing here is civilized, everything here is barbaric.
Let's go check out the bowl bar.
Yes.
It was the bonfires where
RIP.
Tony lost me. The bonfire.
But
like
you
just
didn't
a fire.
get it. No,
Just a
you didn't get it. You
bonfire.
didn't get it.
Like,
You've
how
never
can that be
smelled-
Miami? I mean,
You've never
level.
smelled it off Chrome Avenue. That's the problem.
And lastly, I have Invisalign as well, and it has never made me say that word that Roy said.
Yeah.
So we got to give my boy some kind of retroactive fine or penalty box or something. Because, wow.
Rapers. Rapers. Rapers.
I love how someone is starting to talk there and they lay out because Roy is butchering something.
Rapers.
Stan, good job out of you. You're starting to say get, and you're like, whoa, I got to lay out here. Roy's butchering something.
Rapers.
Roy called for the ball. Okay. And Roy lit up because he's like, I got this right now. This wonderful melted cheese corn thing that everyone around here loves.
Rapers.
Dan, give me the ball. And I'm like about to say anything, but Roy wants the ball.
Rapers.
It's unfortunate, man.
Rapers.